What good folks, it's Darktree19 and welcome back to another what if. The last what if I had that at Overlord and it was taking down, so here another what if, hopefully it will stay. It called What If Naruto Was the Fire Daimyo's Harbinger Part 1, so like, comment and share, but besides all that, enjoy the video. Chapter 1, The Discovery. Today was a special day for the Leaf. The Fire Daimyo was in Konoha, touring it with his bodyguards, and a few select shinobi appointed by the Sandaime Hokage himself. The tour was a routine check by the daimyo to see the progress of the Leaf, how it had grown since Kyuubi's sudden attack 7 years ago, and the overall status of the village the feudal lord had invested in like his father along with his father's own father years ago. The man wasn't scrawny like some of his fellow daimyos, who had inherited their positions, and done nothing to improve themselves. This fire daimyo, as with his father, and grandfather before him, had trained themselves to be in peak fighting condition. The reliance of shinobi was not something the fire daimyo liked to consider, regardless of how cost-effective using them over maintaining an army of samurai. Still, the resources put into Konoha had helped greatly in the long run, and had put a great deal of effort into balancing out funding both. At the moment, the routine inspection was going well, which was to be expected given the current track record, and yet for the fire daimyo it seemed so boring. The routine inspection was so routine. A bow from a person here. A smile there. No real chaos like back when Uzumaki Kushina was around pulling pranks on people. Oh, how the fire daimyo missed that when he traveled with his father on some occasions and silently wished it would happen now. Strange how Kami answers one's silent unspoken prayers. Get back here, demon, yelled a chonin chasing a blonde-haired boy, who was currently being pursued, and chased by several other shinobi of equal rank. Why? So you can just beat me like you did last week? Said the blonde boy, as he dove through a hole in a fence, and smirked while running after hearing the loud bang. That followed from the lead shinobi hitting the fence. Get him. Cut the Uzumaki brat off, said another chonin in pursuit of the blonde. Did I hear the name Uzumaki in connection to that boy? Curious. The Sandaime told me there were no other Uzumaki in existence after Kushina's death. How her child she was expecting died when Kyuubi attacked before the Yondaime could defeat it, thought the fire daimyo, as he saw the shinobi pursuing the blonde apparent Uzumaki, and what caught his eye was some of the chonin had kunai in hand like they were going to hurt the child. But for what purpose? Why would Leaf shinobi use such weapons on a child? Daimyo-sama, excuse this sudden surprise, and interruption of your inspection. I assure you the demon brat will be punished accordingly and brought before the Sandaime to face justice, said one of the Leaf shinobi assigned to the escort. No. That's alright. Seeing that brought back some interesting and fond memories. Tell me, why do you call the boy demon brat like the others, and why did one of them call the child Uzumaki for that matter? Said the fire daimyo, seeing the shinobi stiffen and look nervous. We can't say, daimyo-sama. We are under orders from the Hokage under a law he made to not reveal the reason, said another Leaf shinobi of jounin rank. I see. And that law includes me? Are you saying the daimyo of fire country cannot be told due to this law? Said the fire daimyo while looking intently at the Leaf shinobi that had just spoken. No. I mean yes. I mean, I don't know, daimyo-sama, said the jounin, as he knew the law the Sandaime made was to keep the children from know about the fox, but to use it against the fire daimyo was totally unexpected, and unheard of in terms of keeping such information from the only man higher in rank than the Hokage. It doesn't matter. Let's continue with the inspection, said the fire daimyo in a sudden cold tone that told the Leaf shinobi he was not pleased. With the Leaf shinobi walking in front of him, the fire daimyo made a hand motion, and brought one of his samurai close to him to lean forward. After whispering silently to the man an order, the samurai nodded, and discreetly left the escort to carry out the order of his daimyo. The tone in which the feudal lord spoke indicated the order was to be carried out now or die later. Elsewhere, get back here, brat, said one of the chonin chasing the boy while mentally cursing at letting the kid out of his sight for one whole second despite the Hokage's orders to keep the boy away from the fire daimyo. Go kiss a dog, said Naruto, as he dodged a kunai thrown at him, and several shuriken his pursers launched. Damn that Kyuubi brat. I'm going to enjoy skinning him alive, said one chonin, as he wished his weapons made contact, and make the boy cry out in pain. Get in line, said the other chonin, knowing he was going to beat the boy bloody for disobeying them and staying in his room. They soon tracked the boy to an alley and found him unable to escape them. Grinning at their sudden victory, the group of chonin grabbed the boy, who now struggled to get free, but the chonin were far from civil, as they beat the boy, and calling him names. They knew the boy would heal up. That any injury given would vanish within a few mere minutes, and any complaint the boy made to the Hokage would fall on deaf ears since there would be no proof of such abuse. Anything to say before we drag you to the Hokage? said one Chonin, who gave the boy a hard kick to the ribs, and glared hatefully at the child. Bite me, said Naruto before he was kicked again in the face. Insolent demon. We allow you to live in this village out of the graces of our hearts, and all we ask is you obey like the good pet you're supposed to be while living in Konoha. The very fact you live is an insult to the Yondaime Hokage, but we tolerate you because the Sandaime wishes it, and tolerate your existence, said another Chonin, taking out a kunai and about to give the boy a few well-deserved stabs, knowing they could make up some story later. I wouldn't do that if I were you, said a voice behind the group of Chonin, seeing them turn in his direction. Who are you? Said the Chonin with the kunai in hand. I am a samurai under the command of the fire daimyo. In his name, you are all hereby ordered to stand down, and move away from the injured child, said the samurai with the Chonin sneering at him. You? Ordering us? You samurai think you're all hot shit because you work for the fire daimyo, but one samurai against 5 of us is suicide, and this creature is not worth your life. Go back to the daimyo and tell him this is not his concern, said one Chonin while the samurai narrowed his eyes at them. This is your one and only warning, Konoha shinobi. I will not give you a second one, for I will kill you in this alley, said the samurai with the 5 Chonin looking angrily at him with their intention of hurting the blonde, now aimed at their new target. I highly doubt that, samurai. I say we kill this nosy fool, blame the QB brat, and see the fire daimyo order the monster is killed, said one of the other Chonin, as they now charged the samurai, who held his ground, and quickly killed the group of shinobi in a decisive manner befitting a man of his skills before sheathing his blade. Just because Konoha was knowing 7 years of peace didn't mean the fire daimyo samurai would become weak from it like these shinobi clearly did. The one thing the samurai did in times of peace that shinobi did not was prepare for war and keep the mind along with the body sharp in the event war breaks out for any reason. Why? Said Naruto, seeing the samurai turn to look at him. Why what? Said the samurai when walking over to the child. Why did you save me? No one has ever done that before today? Said Naruto, seeing the man look at him with surprise. What do you mean? This isn't the first attack aimed at you? Said the samurai before he kneeled down in front of the boy. This is minor compared to the usual ones. The worst ones are on my birthday. Don't tell the old man I told you this, said Naruto pleadingly. Why would you not want the Hokage to know about my knowing of this action? Said the samurai while alarm bells were ringing off in the back of his head. If old man Hokage finds out that I told anyone outside the village about this, he will hate me since I'm putting Konoha in a bad light, and I don't want to be hated anymore by anyone, said Naruto with the samurai's anger rising from this news. I see. Don't worry, little one. I agree with you. We will keep this incident a secret from the Hokage for now, but I need you to come with me to meet someone very important, and interested in meeting you, said the samurai, seeing joy fill the boy's bright blue eyes at meeting someone important. Really? Who is it? Is it the fire daimyo you mentioned working for? Said Naruto with a sense of eagerness while seeing the samurai smile at him. Yes, I am. You're very smart for a boy your age, said the samurai, knowing few would remember such thing and even fewer after getting their head kicked in. Was the boy's injuries healing already? What was going on? I'd try to learn given how, said Naruto before looking away to hide the sadness on his face. Given how people treat you? They don't want you to learn, do they, little one? Said the samurai with the boy unable to look him in the eyes. I can't say. If old man Hokage finds out I'm saying even this much to anyone, said Naruto while trying to hold back his tears in front of the samurai. I understand. Don't worry though. Like I said, you are not going to meet with the third Hokage, and we'll make sure this incident isn't revealed to him until much later when the time is right that it's okay for him to know. What's your name? Said the samurai, seeing the boy look a bit lost for a second, but that was to be expected from a 7-year-old, and just needed the right teachers. My name is Uzumaki Naruto, and someday I'm going to be the strongest person to ever live, said Naruto with fire in his eyes, and the samurai let out a chuckle. Well, Uzumaki Naruto, I can say without a doubt that you are well on your way, and I am sure the fire daimyo would agree, said the samurai, as he picked up the boy, and moved quickly to the destination of the daimyo's carriage, where he was ordered to keep the boy until they departed from Konoha. Personally, the samurai was more than pleased to leave the village, and couldn't wait to get out of here. Fire Country capital. Sometime later, Naruto had fallen asleep while waiting to meet the fire daimyo in his carriage, which was fine with the samurai assigned to get and watch over him. The fire daimyo didn't mind either after his loyal warrior told him what he witnessed and how the Sandaime Hokage was involved on some level with the child's abuse. It made the feudal lord's blood boil at hearing the boy being beaten, called names, and the fact the child was an Uzumaki out of all children in Konoha made the man furious. When Naruto awoke from his slumber, he found himself in a comfortable bed, in a place that was very nice, and wondered what he had done to deserve this special treatment. He didn't prank anyone in Konoha, well not recently anyway, and Naruto doubted such an act would get him in the good graces of anyone like the fire daimyo. Unless the feudal lord was a prank enthusiast, though something told Naruto that pranking fire daimyo or anyone close to him was not a wise move for himself. A knock at the door and a maid popped her head in to see him. "Oh Naruto-san, you're awake. You must have been really tired. The daimyo is expecting you soon," said the maid, as she walked in, and saw the boy's eyes widen in realization of what the samurai told him. "He is? Oh no. What do I do?" said Naruto in a panicky voice, acting like any normal panicking child would do in his situation, and looking around frantically for a means to counter this situation, with the maid just letting out a giggle. "Calm down Naruto-san. The daimyo won't be angry with you for wanting to look your best in his presence. I've come here to help you get ready to meet him," said the maid, as she saw Naruto look at her with surprise, and hoped that he had a chance to make a good impression on the only person outranking the Hokage. "Really? Thank you," said Naruto happily. "You're welcome Naruto-san. My name is Kikyo. First, I'm going to get your bath ready, and one of my fellow maids will come in with a fresh set of clothes for you to wear after we're done," said the maid, having a son of her own at Naruto's age. "You're going to help me with my bath, Kikyo-chan?" said Naruto, suddenly surprised that she would help him, since no one helped the boy when at the orphanage with anything. "Of course. It is my duty. Besides, I have a boy roughly your age, and him bathing alone is not something a responsible adult should do," said Kikyo with a smile, and helped the boy to the nearby bathroom where the bath was set up. Fire Daimyo's office. Sometime later, the Fire Daimyo looked at the boy sitting across from him, looking nervous while trying at the same time to be respectful, and not fidget in his presence. Not easy to do with a 7-year-old filled with energy, and even more difficult when the child is an Uzumaki. It was clear Naruto had questions about things, but knew better than to ask things right away, and was waiting for Regal Man to speak. The boy was smart for his age, despite the evidence of his education being next to nothing, while possibly being given just enough of a basic education to read, write, and speak when such a task would be required of him. "You have questions, young one. Ask them and I will answer to the best of my ability," said the Fire Daimyo calmly to the boy. "First, I want to thank you, and the samurai responsible for saving me. He said you were interested in speaking to me, and if it wasn't for him," said Naruto, unable to finish the sentence. "I'm firmly against child cruelty, Naruto-san. Something the Sandaime Hokage is not, or only in certain cases," said the Fire Daimyo, seeing Naruto frown a bit. "The old man isn't bad. He's taken care of me for the most part when possible due to his busy schedule," said Naruto, with the Fire Daimyo nodding to indulge the boy, though his mind thought differently given what had happened to the child, with the incident being one among many. Being Hokage is tiresome, just like it is being daimyo. Still, with such a title like our, we have subordinates, who are given orders, and must be followed to the letter. Though for a shinobi of the leaf has to do it in 2 ways. 1. The order must not be treasonous to the leaf, as well as against the Hokage running Konoha, and on a higher level, against me, said the Fire Daimyo, seeing the boy nod with some understanding. "So those shinobi that attacked me were committing acts of treason?" said Naruto, seeing the feudal lord nod. "As well as several other laws of this land in which I rule. Tell me Naruto-san, how many attacks have you suffered while living in the leaf?" said the Fire Daimyo curiously, and the boy stiffened.
I can't say," said Naruto, seeing the man close his eyes for a moment in thought.
"You don't have to, since my samurai responsible for rescuing you earlier told me it was more than just that one incident he witnessed. Some were even worse on your birthday, correct?" said the Fire Daimyo, with Naruto nodding slowly. "Yes sir," said Naruto, while the Fire Daimyo looked at him with those piercing soul-searching eyes. "Do you know why? I'm sure you've asked the Hokage why they attack you, right?" said the Fire Daimyo, seeing Naruto nod. "I have, but the old man told me I was too young to understand, and would explain it to me one day," said Naruto, seeing the feudal lord's eyes harden. "I bet he did." Beat any sense of right and wrong out of the boy, so when he was told there would be no resistance in his mind. "Damn you Sarutobi," thought the Fire Daimyo, before refocusing on the curious and yet cautious boy. "Do you know why I'm hated?" said Naruto, seeing the man's eyes soften now. "I have a theory, Naruto. Though I need time to gather evidence before I can confirm it and tell you if it's even true," said the Fire Daimyo, seeing Naruto nod. "What about my parents? The villagers said hateful things about them. Calling my mom bad names I shouldn't repeat, as well as something about my dad too, but the Hokage told me they were great people in Konoha, and yet, he wouldn't tell me who they were. Do you know who they are? You're the most important person in the land and would know who they are, right?" said Naruto with the fire daimyo's blood now boiling with rage at hearing this new piece of information. I do know who your parents are, Naruto. Whatever mean things they say about them and the names they are called are not correct. Far from it. They were great people and heroes of the leaf. I don't know why the Sandaime didn't tell you who they are, but he should have done that, and more importantly he should have told me you were alive, said the fire daimyo, as he saw Naruto looking at him curiously, and with hope in knowing the names of his parents. You know who they are? Can you tell me? Please, daimyo-sama. I won't ask anything of you if this one wish could be granted. Please tell me who my parents were, said Naruto, getting on the floor and bowing to the shocked man. Rise, child. I do not wish to see the son of my two close personal friends bowing to me in this manner, said the fire daimyo before walking around his desk and now kneeling before this child with tears running down his whiskered face. Who were they? Please tell me, said Naruto, seeing the feudal lord nod. Your parents' names were Namikaze Minato and Uzumaki Kushina. Your father was the Yondaime Hokage of Konoha and your mother was heiress to the Uzumaki clan. She was the last Uzumaki when Whirlpool Country was destroyed in one of the shinobi wars and was considered the last before you came along, said the fire daimyo. Seeing Naruto was surprised to hear this and was unable to comprehend this information. My father was the Yondaime Hokage? No. No. It's not true. That can't be true. If it was, then the people wouldn't hate me, said Naruto, as he hit the fire daimyo in the chest area, and the feudal lord held the boy close. I'm sorry, Naruto. I truly am. Believe me when I tell you that they were your parents, said the fire daimyo while the boy cried in his arms while struggling to accept that his parents had been such great people while he himself was treated less than the garbage people tossed outside into alleys that stray animals went for food. Why? Why do people hate me? Why do they love my parents, but hate me? Said Naruto, seeing the fire daimyo sigh, knowing he really wasn't sure himself, but still had an idea of why, and yet, Naruto didn't need to be freaked out right now. I think I know why, Naruto, but I am unsure if the reason is in fact what I suspected, and if you give me time I will find out why. I don't want to give you an answer that isn't true, said the fire daimyo, seeing Naruto nod silently. Where will I stay while you're finding this out? Said Naruto after a moment, since he did not have a home to live in. Here in the palace with me, said the fire daimyo, knowing the boy would be safer here than in Konoha. Here? Are you sure? Said Naruto nervously, since he didn't want to impose. I insist, Naruto. You are hereby considered my guest of honor in my home, said the fire daimyo, with the boy looking so happy at this news. Thank you. Thank you. I'll be on my best behavior. No pranks, said Naruto, knowing that to be a hellraiser in Konoha was one thing, but in a place like this, and someone so high up, was unwise. The fire daimyo just laughed. Well, maybe a prank or two wouldn't hurt. My guards need to be tested on occasion so they don't slack off. Just let me know in advance when it's coming, said the fire daimyo, as he saw the boy grin, and knew Naruto got it from his mother. Deal, said Naruto, with the two laughing, with the boy's laugh truly being truly genuine this time. Excellent. Now, Naruto, while you are here, I want to see you become strong like your parents, and one day surpass them. For that to happen, I'm going to arrange a series of teachers for my samurai, several of the Guardian 12, and even shinobi hand-picked by myself to oversee the training for the next couple of years. Do you approve? Said the fire daimyo, seeing the boy nod enthusiastically at the idea. Absolutely, said Naruto, seeing the man smile further. Follow me. We're going to meet some of them right now, said the fire daimyo, as he walked out of the room with Naruto right beside him, and the desire to become great swelling within the boy's blue eyes. 3 weeks later, the Sandaime Hokage entered the fire daimyo's office. He had been escorted there by a select group of the man's samurai after traveling to the capital of Fire Country when the feudal lord summoned him here. The third Hokage didn't know why the fire daimyo was summoning him here, but the way some of the samurai were actually glaring right at him told they were not pleased with what they knew about this, and somehow whatever the issue was about had some deep connection to his position as Hokage. Asuma was no help either, as he had stopped writing letters for the past 3 weeks, and no one close to his son here in the Fire Country capital could give him an answer. The old Cage was starting to feel a cold shiver run up his spine when he sat down. The eyes of the fire daimyo were cold. A far cry from the usual warmth he had seen the last time the feudal lord had visited, and even that moment was not as warm like the Hokage had hoped. The Sandaime remembered it being a faded warmth from the usual amount the feudal lord gave when greeting him, and now there was only a deep coldness within the regal man's eyes. Do you know why I've called you here, Sandaime Hokage? Said the fire daimyo, as he saw the old man before him shifting uncomfortable, and knew it was more than just the nervousness felt from being looked at with such scrutiny. There were many seals secretly put around the room. Seals placed there at the request of his grandfather many years ago to the Uzumaki seal master at the time to prevent the use of chakra in the room. Uzumaki Mito's teacher, if the fire daimyo remembered correctly. The man had seen to it that the seals were the best ever made. Wouldn't wear away, wash away, and or be removed in any way possible. At this moment, the Sandaime Hokage was an old man, and had no power in this room. The god of shinobi was reduced to an old man in this room with no power, no chakra, and no strength to fight against the much younger man that commanded all of Fire Country. No daimyo-sama. Your message said to come here immediately and I obeyed, said the Hokage, seeing the feudal lord of Fire Country frown slightly. Indeed. My message did that. In fact, I believe I wrote in my message that I was in fact commanding you to come here immediately, 1 week ago, said the fire daimyo, seeing the Sandaime wince slightly. There was an internal matter of who would be running Konoha until my return, and there were several volunteers, said the Hokage, with the fire daimyo frowning further. It took you nearly a week to decide? Such a temporary replacement should not take so long to put into position unless you were dragging your feet and there was something else that you felt required such a delay in seeing me, said the fire daimyo, seeing the elderly Kage wince again. I admit I was delayed, and for that I am sorry, daimyo-sama, said the Sandaime, while the feudal lord scowled further with a fury in his eyes the Hokage had never seen in the man until now. Do I come off as a fool to you, Hiruzen? Do you honestly think I am some kind of naive idiot? Said the fire daimyo, with the Hokage looking shocked at his line of questioning.
Daimyo-sama, I don't understand. I, said Hiruzen, while the fire daimyo reached his limit in terms of patience with the Hokage and slammed his fist down on his desk.
Do not take me for fool. You know damn well why you were late to my summons, yelled the fire daimyo, seeing the Hokage looking like a deer caught in headlights. The Hokage did know why. Hiruzen had turned Konoha inside and out the past week trying to find a single person in the village. A single child, which he didn't even know was missing until much later due to the shinobi, or the people in general within the village not caring about what happened to this boy. The Hokage went to every place in Konoha he knew the boy liked to hang out, searching for the child, hoping the villagers, and his shinobi didn't do anything too damaging to the child. A boy named Naruto. Uzumaki Naruto.
Daimyo-sama, I don't know, said the Hokage, as he saw the younger man frowning at him, and knew lying was pointless here.
You don't know what? You don't know where Uzumaki Naruto is? Is that what you want to say? Said the fire daimyo, while seeing the old Kage before him sweating up a storm. How did? Said the Sandaime, while trying to figure things out in his head. How did I know? How did I find out? As in, how did I find out that the son of my two dearest friends of mine was being abused by the very village they defended so nobly? Said the fire daimyo, while the Hokage was trying to keep his composure. This isn't happening, thought the Sandaime, while the fire daimyo produced a folder filled with information. The boy has been here for 3 weeks. Since then, I've had my agents do a little digging in Konoha, and found some interesting pieces of information. Now, before you begin to ask yourself how did I not know about this? I want you to remember that my resources are not limited to my samurai, and the shinobi of Konoha that are apparently more loyal to you than you are to me, said the fire daimyo, pushing the folder filled with various pieces of information to the Hokage, who dared not touch, or open it like the contents held some kind of disease. What has the boy told you about Konoha? Said the Sandaime at last, though his voice was barely a muffled whisper. Enough. After our talk, I felt the need to launch my own personal investigation, and see into some things about the boy's life you've been keeping from me, said the fire daimyo with narrowed eyes. The boy needed to be protected, said the Sandaime weakly, with his voice lacking the conviction of that statement. Oh, I agree the boy needed to be protected, but not by Leaf Shinobi, and certainly not by you, said the fire daimyo, knowing the Hokage was trying to think of a way to get in his good graces and the boy back in Konoha. Please, daimyo-sama. The boy is important to the Leaf Village. His parents were, said the Hokage before the feudal lord slammed his fist on the desk again. His parents are dead. I know who they are, Sarutobi, and I know how they died, so don't talk to me like I'm some gullible fool. I also know that they would ashamed of Konoha for treating their only child like they have for so long, said the fire daimyo, seeing the old man before him trying to think of something to get Naruto back in Konoha. The people of Konoha are suffering from their losses Kyuubi gave us 7 years ago. They just need more time to get over their pain, said the Sandaime, while sensing killer intent from the guards behind him. And they have to take it out on Naruto? Are you saying that it's okay for them to channel their anger at the child for holding Kyuubi? Said the fire daimyo, as he had his doctor examine the boy, and saw the Yondaime's seal, so knowing what was held in the child was not hard to figure out. No. But you can't expect me to not care about the people in Konoha, said the Hokage with the fire daimyo narrowing his eyes at him. What about his godparents? What about Tsunade and Jiraiya? Why haven't they taken up the responsibilities in raising him? Said the fire daimyo with the Hokage shifting uneasily again. I can't say daimyo-sama, said the Hokage with the feudal lord sneering at him. Can't or won't? Doesn't matter. Perhaps time in our dungeon will loosen your tongue while I appoint a new Hokage more competent than yourself, said the fire daimyo before motioning his guards to take the man away. Wait. I'll tell you, said the Sandaime seeing the samurai coming towards him. Well? Answer me, said the fire daimyo while glaring with sheer intensity at the old man. Jiraiya and Tsunade, they don't want anything to do with Naruto at all, said the Sandaime with the fire daimyo's killer intent rising, and the old Kage was truly fearful of this man. I thought as much. In the past 2 weeks alone, I've been secretly reviewing all financial transactions made since that night Kyubi attacked, and found very disturbing reading material. Who allowed those two Sannin access the Namikaze and Uzumaki accounts? Who was it that allowed them to not only use it, but allow the village to take a sizable chunk for repair work? Repair work, which I recall was already given funds by me, and from my treasury, said the fire daimyo seeing Hiruzen looking nervous. The money from both clans went to very profitable investments in Konoha after it was realized such an error had been made, said the Sandaime, but the fire daimyo wasn't buying it, and the man pulled out another folder. By profitable investments, do you mean various stores, businesses, and overall house remodeling projects for various members of the civilian council? Some of which didn't even need such remodeling. How is that profitable? More importantly, how is Jiraiya and Tsunade spending the money from both clans to be considered profitable investments as you put it? Said the fire daimyo seeing the third Hokage silent for a moment. I assure you daimyo-sama, I will get to the bottom of this, and see to it that the money is retrieved too, said Hiruzen, but the daimyo held up his hand, which told the Hokage to shut up, and listen to what his feudal lord had to say. Don't insult me with this humble act, Hiruzen. It may have worked before when I fully trusted you to do your job, but my eyes have been opened, and what I see is a pathetic man unworthy of his station. Even as we speak, my auditors are heading to Konoha, and they will be digging deeper into the transactions of the village before punishing the leaf accordingly. All those people that benefited from that money will be taxed and fined heavily. As of this moment, the Namikaze and the Uzumaki clan accounts are frozen until further notice until Naruto is of legal age to have them. As for Jiraiya and Tsunade, they will be unable to use them for their own personal use. And by personal use, I mean no gambling, drinking, paying off debt collectors, and paying for women in the red light district. I am also revoking their Sannin traveling rights and ordering those two back here to face my own personal review of them, said the fire daimyo seeing the third Hokage looking fearful. But you can't. Jiraiya is needed out in the field with his spy network, said the Hokage since Jiraiya had been helping Konoha. And Tsunade? Said the fire daimyo waiting for the Hokage's excuse for her. She doesn't like Konoha, said the Hokage while the feudal lord of Fire Country just narrowed his eyes at him. I'm not asking her to return Konoha. I'm commanding Tsunade to come here to the Fire Country capital. If she refuses to obey, then I will mark her down as a missing nin with a massive bounty on her head to ensure your former student gets the message, said the fire daimyo seeing the old man look pained by hearing this. What about Naruto? Can I see him? Said the Hokage with the fire daimyo shaking his head no. Out of the question. I've arranged for several of the Guardian 12 to train Naruto. I'm also having one of the few shinobi in Konoha, who I know can be trusted to train him in the shinobi arts, and unleash his true potential. Like you should have done from the start, said the fire daimyo seeing the Sandaime wince. Please reconsider daimyo-sama. Give me a chance to set things right with Naruto. To let him know I'm sorry, said the Sandaime with the fire daimyo shaking his head no with disgust written all over his face. No. Naruto does not want anything to do with you, Hiruzen. He knows about his parents. He knows you lied to him time and time again. I will not have you scar or poison that child's mind any more than you already have since his birth, said the fire daimyo with the Hokage looking like he was afraid. Naruto made a promise to me that he would one day become Hokage, said Hiruzen, and the fire daimyo looked ready to take his sword and strike the old Kage down. A promise that I explained to him was invalid due to it being made under false pretenses you set for the boy. Whether or not Naruto sets out to keep his promise and being Hokage like you hoped will be his choice to make, said the fire daimyo seeing the old Kage did not like this news at all. Don't you see I had no choice? The boy is the key to Konoha's security and future, said Hiruzen having stood up from his seat with panic clearly on his face. And by key to Konoha's security and future you mean the village weapon. Don't think I don't know about the history behind Jinchuriki and the lives they've lived. Kushina told me herself about how she was the Kyuubi Jinchuriki and Uzumaki Mito was the first one before her. I wonder how those two, plus your sensei, and his brother would react if they were here to learn just how Naruto was treated? How you, Tsunade, Jiraiya, and everyone else knowing of your little plan tried to turn the boy into your faithful servant. Said the fire daimyo, seeing the Sandaime grit his teeth in anger before using his last trump card. Naruto belongs in Konoha. It was the Yondaime's dying wish that he develop a bond in the village. You cannot deny the dying wish of the Yondaime, said the Sandaime while the fire daimyo scowled with a look of pure hatred. How dare you? You would use that line on me? You dare use that excuse, knowing full well that the village, and its people haven't done that for Naruto. You talk about him developing bonds with the village. You talk of the dying wish of the Yondaime not being denied, but we both know that will never happen so long as he stays in Konoha, and is scorned by its people. Your request to have Naruto return to Konoha is denied, and if you try to find out where he is to have him kidnapped, I will liquidate the village to start anew, said the fire daimyo, seeing the Sandaime stiffen since he had planned to do just that. D daimyo-sama, sure you wouldn't do that? The village has stood since the time of my sensei with his brother and Uchiha Madara first founded Konoha, said the third Hokage with the feudal lord of Fire Country looking at him with a deadly serious look in his eyes. You're half right. The village was founded through them, but also with my grandfather's blessing, and support within this land that I now rule. A blessing that I am within my own right as ruler of Fire Country to revoke. It is through my money, my resources, and my support that Konoha still stands. Though I'm strongly considering the idea of removing Konoha from the world right now from how you've tried to defend its actions against the boy. Get out of office, out of the capital, and return to Konoha where I will soon decide its fate. One more thing, Hiruzen. You will not inform Tsunade or Jiraiya of why I am ordering them back to Konoha. If you do, I'll order your execution for treason against me, said the fire daimyo, seeing the Hokage was fighting the urge to yell at the feudal lord for saying such a thing. I understand, daimyo-sama. May I ask what has become of my son Asuma? I have not heard anything from him for some time, said Hiruzen, knowing he could at least get that much from the fire daimyo. I've ordered your son to stay here in the capital, but denied him the right to contact you about everything, and anything regarding Naruto since the boy's arrival. Before you think he knows where Naruto is located, I will stop that line of thought for you, and say that the man does not know the boy's location. I do not trust him, just as I have come to not trust you. That is all I will say on the matter. Now get out of my sight, Hiruzen. I don't want to see you unless it's absolutely necessary, said the fire daimyo, pointing to the door, and the third Hokage bowed rigidly. All I have ever done has been for the greatness of Konoha and Fire Country, said the third Hokage, and the fire daimyo scoffed. If that were true, Hiruzen, you wouldn't have revealed Naruto's status as a Jinchuriki, and made sure the village populace didn't know either, said the fire daimyo before his two guards escorted the Hokage out of his home. Moments later, a shinobi monk by the name of Kairiku walked in, and bowed to the fire daimyo before handing him a report. Reading it over, the fire daimyo smiled at what he read, and the monk himself did too, since the report regarded Naruto. I've never seen a child so cautious of new people and yet so happy in all my time being alive, said Kairiku, having seen the child hesitate to meet the shinobi monks at the fire temple. Bansai has already grown attached to him already, I see. He's become something of a surrogate grandfather to the boy, said the fire daimyo, seeing Kairiku smirk. Yeah. Naruto was hesitant at first to be around so many of us, but when we showed we're not like the people in Konoha, he seemed happy, and it breaks my heart knowing Konoha tried to take that away, said Kairiku, seeing his feudal lord frown slightly. Konoha will pay for their actions against the boy. I will see to it, said the fire daimyo, knowing his wrath would be minor compared to Naruto should he wish to unleash his fury on the village. And the fire daimyo would let him too. Young Seneki sees Konoha's actions to be unforgivable and has already tried to help in Naruto's education in many things the leaf would deny him. I've already begun some measure of training for Naruto too, and find his energy to be impressive for one so young. Though given his status as Jinchuriki of Kyuubi, it is to be expected, and we intend for the boy to be well trained when the time comes to defend himself, said Kairiku, as he was having the boy work on his normal training exercises, and then intended to get into the weapon training with a bow staff. Good. I want Naruto to reach his full potential. I've also had one of my agents get a message out to Uchiha Itachi and informing him of his services to me regarding Naruto, said the fire daimyo, while Kairiku was surprised to hear this. The Uchiha Itachi? I've heard of him, but only by reputation, and here he's quite good for someone his age, said Kairiku, knowing the Uchiha was supposed to be very strong and would be an excellent teacher. Yes. I made sure he understood this mission was not to be shared by anyone in Konoha due to them currently scrambling to find the child now that they realize he's no longer in the village, said the fire daimyo seeing Kairiku nod. With Itachi's help I have no doubt Naruto will be one of the strongest shinobi since his parents, but when his training is complete, won't he be under the jurisdiction of the Leaf, and the Hokage? Said Kairiku seeing the fire daimyo shake his head no. No. I'm having the boy become a shinobi under my direct command. He will be my very own agent in the shadows so I will no longer be led astray with nativity and believing the Hokage or the village in general can be fully trusted. When his training is complete, I will have him enter Konoha, and Naruto will secretly observe the village before giving me a report on the current situation, said the fire daimyo seeing Kairiku nod. Asuma asked me about Naruto when I came here to speak with you daimyo-sama. I've come to suspect he's going to inform his father of the boy's location if I reveal it, said Kairiku while the fire daimyo scowled. Don't tell him anything Kairiku. Asuma is more loyal to his father than to me and while I understand why that is the case on account of their blood ties, this matter does not have anything to do with that, said the fire daimyo with the shinobi monk nodding. When do you expect Naruto's so-called godparents to arrive? Said Kairiku seeing the feudal lord to think about this for a moment. Soon. After I cut their access to each clan account they each took, neither will come back just for that alone, but rather to find out why their traveling rights have been revoked, and seek to get them back. Those two Sannin have some nerve to abandon Naruto and then drain a hefty sum of his inheritance from both sides of his family. Something I intend to see hurts them in the long run and that to go against my ruling would be unwise, said the fire daimyo seeing Kairiku nodding in agreement. Does Naruto know about his godparents? Said Kairiku knowing that those two might try to get close to Naruto and poison his mind like the Sandaime did in Konoha. No. Up until now, I did not know anything about it, but the Yondaime's will, which I required from one of my agents, hereby stated that should anything happen to him, and his mother they were to take care of the boy. The will was unsealed that very night the Kyuubi was sealed into Naruto by the Sandaime, as this seal when broken, also tells who broke it, and the time it was broken, said the fire daimyo seeing Kairiku frown slightly with confusion. There is still something I don't understand daimyo-sama. If the Sandaime, Jiraiya, and Tsunade knew the boy was their son, why did they do this to him? Why did the Hokage manipulate things? Why did Jiraiya and Tsunade abandon him? It doesn't make sense, said Kairiku while the fire daimyo nodded in agreement. When the two Sannin get here Kairiku, I will see to it they answer my question, and for their crimes against the boy, said the fire daimyo knowing those two had a lot to answer for and he was going to see to it that they did. One way or another. With Naruto several days later, Naruto could honestly say he loved the fire temple, even if it was too quiet at times for his liking when meditation was required for the monks, and given his own nature could try his paper-thin level patience. The monks themselves were kind, smiling at him that he could tell were the genuine article, and they were teaching about their way of life. Naruto thought it was weird at first, but wasn't going to say it out loud since they were currently watching over him until the fire daimyo got things squared away in his palace, and was apparently getting to the bottom of some things. Bansai reminded Naruto briefly of the Hokage, but after the old man had betrayed him, the Kyuubi Jinchuriki was cautious of the elderly monk at first, and watched for any kind of deceit. After seeing Bansai was not like the old Hokage, the Uzumaki child warmed up to the elderly monk, and soon became the grandson this old man had always wanted in life. Bansai had been instructing Naruto on the fundamentals of being a shinobi monk, which baffled the poor boy at first, but the elderly monk used living examples of what they did at the fire temple, and it was through that did the hyperactive blonde begin to understand. Bansai-sensei, said Naruto, as he sat in mediation with the elderly monk across from him, and the old man opened his eyes to look at the boy. Yes, Naruto? Said Bansai curiously. Why do you think people hate others for things that aren't their fault? Said Naruto with the monk letting out a sigh at the question. I suppose it's mainly due to human nature. To be honest, I find the actions of the people in Konoha to be foolish, and hypocritical when you consider who your parents were. The Leaf sees them as their heroes while condemning their son to a life no one should have to endure, said Bansai, as he along with Naruto had been told by the fire daimyo about the Kyuubi, and the fox being the source of the people hating him. I don't know what to think of the village. The fire daimyo told me that my promise I made to the old Hokage about taking the title is not something I have to honor. It was made under false something. I can pronounce it, but basically he said that the promise was not something I have to keep since the old man lied, and I'm not bound to it unless I wish to honor the promise. Do you think I should keep the promise? Said Naruto seeing Bansai smile kindly at him. I can't make that decision for you Naruto. Whether or not you keep the promise is your choice and yours alone. I wouldn't worry right now about honoring the promise, Naruto. You don't have to make that choice until later on when all of your training is nearly or is complete, said Bansai with Naruto smiling at him. Thanks Bansai-sensei, said Naruto while trying to go back to his mediation and soon found himself in a sewer filled with water and a cage with a giant fox behind it. So the little runt comes to pay me a visit. You don't look like much, said Kyuubi with Naruto scowling at him. Well, you wouldn't either if your life was like mine, thought Naruto with the fox snarling at him. You little runt. At least you get to walk around and see things. I've been sealed inside your kind for over a century since your Uzumaki ancestor first sealed me into her after I was free from Uchiha Madara's control, said Kyuubi while glaring at the boy and was a bit surprised the kid didn't fear him. You were? I didn't know. Wow. I'm sorry, thought Naruto while looking away and the fox just looked stunned for a second before letting out a sigh. You didn't know, kid. I doubt anyone would ever tell you anything about the history I have with the various clans of your village, said Kyuubi while Naruto looked at the fox with curiosity in his blue eyes. You do? Thought Naruto while seeing the fox smirk at him. 3 clans actually. The Uchiha clan is one, which I despise for their cursed eyes, and their superiority complex. Another, the Senju clan is nearly extinct, but respected much more than the first, and third is, well, your clan. The Uzumaki clan, said Kyuubi with his vessel looking at him with interest now. Wow. Hey wait. I know about the Uchiha clan. If you are connected to them, then why aren't they hated, and shunned like I am in Konoha every day? Thought Naruto with the fox scoffing at the boy's nativity. Please. Do you really think this information is common knowledge? The only people who know about this are the members from each of these clans, and every Hokage up until now, said Kyuubi with an image of the Sandaime flashing in the boy's mind and snarled at it. I wonder if my parents would have told even me about you if they hadn't died in sealing you inside me when I was born? Thought Naruto with Kyuubi scoffing again. They wouldn't have had a choice in the matter, kid. Only an Uzumaki can hold me and you were the last after your mother died, said Kyuubi having listened to the interesting conversation the child had with the fire daimyo and learned this boy was their offspring. So I was going to be your prison no matter what happened that night, thought Naruto sadly with Kyuubi just watching him. Yes. Though the seal would have been different and more constricting than this one due to this particular seal being your father's handiwork. Not to mention, you would have me inside your body at a later age instead of when you were first born, and been strong enough to handle the change without too many complications in holding me, said Kyuubi while Naruto just grimaced. I don't think I would have wanted to be your vessel. It seems wrong to keep you locked away like this, thought Naruto seeing the fox raise its eyebrow at him. Oh really? And what would you do in the place of your predecessors? Let me out and be allowed to roam free? I wasn't the nicest bijou even before Madara used his eyes to control me. What makes you think your actions wouldn't lead to something horribly tragic? Said Kyuubi seeing Naruto looking up at him. I don't know. Maybe you're right and you would do something bad. But even if you did, it would be your own choice, and fault for doing it in the first place right after getting free, thought Naruto seeing Kyuubi nodding since the kid did have a point in a weird way. Regardless, there is no avoiding the outcome of what you would become in the future had your parents lived, and the only difference when compared to now is the people of Konoha would have never known, said Kyuubi and ended their conversation before kicking the boy out of his head. You spoke to the fox, said Bansai having sensed some of the fox's chakra with Naruto stiffening slightly. I didn't mean to Bansai-sensei. I was mediating and suddenly appeared in my mind with him waiting for me. He kicked me out just now too, said Naruto while looking away like he was about to be scolded for doing something stupid. It's alright. Sooner or later you would have talked to Kyuubi. Just be mindful of the fox for they are known tricksters, said Bansai in a friendly teaching tone. I don't think he wants to trick me. Not yet anyway. I think he's just lonely being sealed away for over a century and needs a friend, said Naruto with Bansai looking very surprised since no one had ever considered befriending a bijou before now. And you want to be his friend? Said Bansai simply. If he'll let me. Kyuubi wouldn't be alone anymore and stuck in that cell by himself, said Naruto with Bansai nodding in thought. You are traveling down an unknown and dangerous path, Naruto. Be mindful when you are talking to him. Just because you want to be Kyuubi's friend does not mean he'll want to be in return, said Bansai with Naruto nodding. I know Bansai-sensei, but if I don't at least try, then I'm just like all those villagers, and shinobi in Konoha that hate me, said Naruto with Bansai smiling at the child. You have a good heart, Naruto. Come. It's time to eat, said Bansai, as he got off the ground, and Naruto followed with his stomach growling. Or was it Kyuubi laughing or growling angrily at the notion of being friends with his vessel? Fire Country capital 2 weeks later, The fire daimyo had been informed of Jiraiya's arrival, with Tsunade's not being that far off, with a young woman and pig following the female Sannin just a few steps behind. The two had come later than he had hoped, but it was to be somewhat expected given their nature, and vices getting the better of them. One was gambling, which no doubt had played a key part in Tsunade's return, since her access to the Uzumaki clan account had prevented her debts from being paid. Jiraiya had probably used some of the vast wealth from his own accounts to enjoy some of the time spent in the more seedy places of the elemental country, so the loss of Namikaze clan account didn't hurt the Sannin that much. Still, the loss of the traveling rights for both put a significant cramp on their means to enjoy their vices, and to escape his command to come here. Hence the order to come here being one they could not ignore. As expected from what he heard from his informants, both Sannin were less than pleased in having their traveling rights revoked, being summoned to see him, and secretly losing all access to the accounts they both tried to bleed dry. Until he called them out on it, the fire daimyo would not say anything about the matter, since neither knew it was by his order the accounts were beyond their reach, but knowing Tsunade's temper, she would eventually crack, and say some things before anyone could stop her. Her weakness was centered around her temper when touching a personal subject, which the woman had it in spades after losing those close to her, and all he needed to do was poke the festering wound of the Sannin's soul before it exploded. Then all the truth that was the secretion behind it would come out, and the fire daimyo would use his own method for handling this untreated scar on both Sannin. Soon enough, both shinobi entered his office, the seals doing their job in preventing them both from using chakra, but didn't stop Tsunade's genjutsu from functioning, and the fire daimyo ignored that fact for now. Both Sannin sat down in their respective seats, both were glaring at him, and yet were showing signs of being cautious when inside this room after feeling the effect of being just a normal person. The woman with Tsunade was also cautious, but more respectful to the fire daimyo, and bowed slightly to show she was in fact honored to be in this room with him. "Thank you both for coming," said the fire daimyo, with both Sannin giving a polite nod, though Tsunade's face showed she was only giving it only because he outranked her. "When the fire daimyo gives an order to come visit him, we obey," said Jiraiya with a smile on his face now, while trying to lighten the mood between the three of them, while Shizune still looked nervous despite everything. "Forgive me for not believing you, Jiraiya-san. I find some of the information regarding certain things to question my faith in you two and the Sandaime Hokage," said the fire daimyo, seeing both of them were shocked by this. "Sarutobi-sensei? What did he do?" said Jiraiya, while Tsunade was shocked to hear the fire daimyo was actually questioning them about anything. "I've already spoken to the Hokage separately about this and ordered him not to contact you regarding what I've learned, so I could speak to you two personally," said the fire daimyo, while seeing the two Sannin looking a bit concerned. "About what?" said Tsunade, seeing the fire daimyo look from her to Jiraiya. "Uzumaki Naruto," said the fire daimyo, and instantly he saw them stiffen slightly. "What about him?" "He's happy and safe in Konoha, being loved by its people," said Jiraiya, while trying to put on a happy face to hide his nervousness. "Is he? Are you sure?" said the fire daimyo, raising an eyebrow at him. "Well, yeah. Why wouldn't he be? Sarutobi-sensei is watching him. Protecting him from harm," said Jiraiya, while Tsunade's hands were trying not to turn into fists. "Your information is outdated, Jiraiya. Uzumaki Naruto is no longer in Konoha," said the fire daimyo, seeing Jiraiya looking shocked and fearful, while Tsunade narrowed her eyes at the feudal lord. "What? When? How?" said Jiraiya, getting out of his seat, but the samurai guards in the room just grabbed by his shoulders, and forced back into the seat. "You took him from Konoha, didn't you?" said Tsunade accusingly. "Someone had to help the boy. You two were elsewhere instead of fulfilling your duties as being Naruto's godparents," said the fire daimyo, seeing them tense up at having their secret found out. "We thought it was better for Naruto due to certain problems he would get by having our attention," said Jiraiya, seeing the fire daimyo's eyes narrowing at him. "You mean being of the Yondaime Hokage?" said the fire daimyo, with Jiraiya looking shocked that he knew. "But, sensei, he made sure to keep such information a secret," said Jiraiya, while the fire daimyo snarled in fury at the fool in front of him. "It wasn't hard to figure out, Jiraiya. There was only one Uzumaki in Konoha before the boy's birth, and I performed the wedding of that woman to the Yondaime Hokage myself," said the fire daimyo, seeing Jiraiya looking uneasy now. "Why are we here?" said Tsunade, knowing the man wanted them both here for something else aside from what was already exposed. "I ordered you here because I wanted to know why you abandoned that boy to the village, which hated him for holding Kyuubi, and not protect him when he needed it most," said the fire daimyo, seeing the two Sannin look at each other for a second before looking back at him. "We thought Sarutobi-sensei would," said Jiraiya, but he was silenced by the daimyo's fist hitting the desk, and causing it to shake, while the feudal lord's fury-filled eyes were burning a hole through the heads of the Sannin in front of him. Don't you dare try to put all the blame on the Sandaime," I have had enough of him already, and you too will share the blame for this act of injustice against this boy. Do you honestly think I would order you here unless I knew everything about what you did? You are here to answer my questions regarding Uzumaki Naruto, said the fire daimyo, seeing the two Sannin shift again. Did you know because of Naruto that Kushina is dead? That the woman I thought of as a daughter was killed by her own son? Said Tsunade while the click down of one of the samurai guards getting ready to unsheath his sword should she make any move against the feudal lord was made. So you blame Kushina's death on her own son? That's your reason? The boy didn't have anything to do with her death. Kyubi did. Of course, the fox is sealed within Naruto, so it's no real surprise you would come to the belief that by hurting the prisoner would also suffer, and you would get some measure revenge. What about you, Jiraiya? Do you hate the boy because his father is dead? Do you blame Naruto for the death of your students? Said the fire daimyo while blowing off her explanation like it was pathetic and pointless. I think you already know my answer, daimyo-sama, said Jiraiya with the man nodding. I believe I do. Your actions for the past 7 years in neglecting the boy and your duty to him speak for themselves. Hence why I order you cut off from both the Namikaze and Uzumaki clan accounts after I noticed the fortune from them being decreased drastically all these years by your hands, said the fire daimyo, seeing shock on Jiraiya's face and anger on Tsunade's own. You had no right, said Tsunade getting up from her chair, but a hand to one shoulder, and a blade to the side of her neck told the Sannin not to press her luck. I don't? Are you saying the fire daimyo of Fire Country has no right to interfere in the Leaf Village's affairs? A shinobi village, which resides in my country, and in my lands that I rule, said the fire daimyo, seeing the slug Sannin sit down though the sword was removed her neck now. Daimyo-sama, you must understand said Jiraiya, but was silenced by the glare the ruler of Fire Country gave him, and knew his words were only provoking the man. I understand perfectly, Jiraiya. You two were draining the Uzumaki and Namikaze clan accounts dry, so when Naruto did have the right to them they would be depleted down to nothing. He would be stuck in Konoha and relying on the village for financial purposes, so leaving for greener pastures was out of the question. I am well aware the village took more than enough from both accounts with your blessing, while each of you spent a hefty sum on your own personal vices. You Senju Tsunade have been using the Uzumaki clan account to pay off outrageous gambling debts you racked up from your time in casinos, if not spending it on sake at bars. Jiraiya here has been spending money from the Namikaze clan account while having more than enough money in his own account from the smutty books he writes while supposedly living the life of a hermit. Am I wrong? Said the fire daimyo, seeing neither one answer. What do you intend to do with them, daimyo-sama? Said Shizune, knowing she herself could be punished for Tsunade's actions just by being with her, while fire daimyo looked at her now. The mouse speaks. First, I hereby order you two back to Konoha, and to stay there unless I say otherwise, said the fire daimyo, with the two Sannin shouting in protest at this order. You can't. My spy network. My research, said Jiraiya frantically while going on about how he needed to be out in the field and see the pretty ladies for inspirational purposes for his next book. I refuse to go back to Konoha. After all I've lost, you expect me to go back there? Said Tsunade furiously while rambling on about the losses she'd suffered in Konoha. Shut up, yelled the fire daimyo, standing up at last with fury in his voice that made the two Sannin sit down while shaking like children at the sudden outburst. Scary, thought Shizune, seeing the man glaring at the two Sannin, that she thought he would give the order to have them both killed right there. I have had enough of your whining and complaining like spoiled children. That is what you are to my eyes. The Sandaime didn't have the courage to discipline the two of you in your Jinan years, but I will now, and I know of the perfect punishment befitting the many crimes that you committed against Uzumaki Naruto. As of this moment, you two are going to be dirt poor, and live in Konoha, living off very little that I allow to be given. Jiraiya, all the money you have in your account made writing those smutty books now belongs to Naruto, and you will refill the Namikaze clan account back to what it was, to the correct amount plus interest. Any and all money from those books now goes to him, said the fire daimyo while the man looked like he was ready to have a heart attack. But how will I live? I need money to eat food, a house to live in, and all the other basic essentials, said Jiraiya pleadingly. You claim to be hermit, correct? Living off the land without relying on things others take for granted? Do what you claim to be, Jiraiya, and suck it up, said the fire daimyo while Jiraiya just whimpered. This is not happening. This is not happening, thought Jiraiya with his mind shattered at the implication of the feudal lord's command. The same goes for you, Senju Tsunade. As of this moment, any money in the Senju clan account is going to the Uzumaki clan's account to bring the numbers up, and you will work at the hospital with all the money you would make going to the account too. You both will keep doing this to make sure that all 7 years and more interest have been factored into the accounts you pilfered so greedily to satisfy your vices, said the fire daimyo, seeing Tsunade looking furious. You can't just deny me the Uzumaki clan account. I am an Uzumaki by blood on my grandmother's side, said Tsunade, seeing the fire daimyo looking even madder. And you left one of your own to suffer needlessly. All the more reason to deny you the right to the account, said the fire daimyo while Tsunade was starting to show signs of panicking. I have gambling debts that need to be paid. How will I pay them if I give all my money to that brat? Said Tsunade with the fire daimyo showing he didn't really care. Pour yourself out to the men in Konoha for a substantial fee or the men you owe debts to. I don't care how you pay off the debts you owe, but I expect them all to be paid off separately from the money that's gained from working in Konoha's hospital. I'll even supply the necessary funding to that special project of yours to have medic nin be integrated into shinobi squads for battle to help reduce fatalities, said the fire daimyo, seeing the woman shaking with rage and despair at his words. What is to become of myself, daimyo-sama? Said Shizune while worried for her own life now. You? That is a good question. Tell me your name, little mouse, and who do your loyalties lie with? Said the fire daimyo, seeing the woman look at Tsunade, who was glaring at her, and telling the younger woman not to leave her side. My name is Kato Shizune. I have been Tsunade-sama's assistant and student since she first left Konoha. I am a skilled medic nin and could be of any use you deem fit, daimyo-sama, said Shizune, seeing the man nod. That's good to hear, but you didn't answer my question regarding your loyalties lied, and I am not blinded by the fact Tsunade here is glaring daggers at you in a silent command to stay with her through this punishment, said the fire daimyo, with Shizune's view of Tsunade now being blocked by a samurai so she could focus on the feudal lord asking about where her loyalties resided.
With all due respect, daimyo-sama, I cannot answer.
I feel conflicted, said Shizune, with the fire daimyo surprisingly smiling at her. I understand. I wish to show you a medical file on Uzumaki Naruto my agents acquired, and since you are a medic nin I think it's only fair you read it, said the fire daimyo, as he produced the thick file, and saw Shizune was hesitant to even open it. All of this is Uzumaki Naruto's medical file? Said Shizune, as she walked over to his desk, and slowly took the file with trembling hands. Yes. The boy has paid a heavy price for your teacher's neglect in protecting him in the last 7 years, said the fire daimyo, seeing Shizune read over the file and saw her eyes begin to water. He's been stabbed multiple times in the back? Second-degree burns from being set on fire? Bones needing to be reset along the ribs and legs from being struck by blunt objects of all different kinds? Said Shizune, as she kept reading the same type of thing over and over, with reports from some of the doctors leaving cruel comments about how Naruto's attackers should have finished the job when they had the chance. Yes. Even then, the doctors did a poor job in resetting them, and the Kyuubi itself had to do the job they failed to do completely themselves, said the fire daimyo, with Shizune dropping the file on his desk and looking horrified at Tsunade. Don't you dare leave my side, Shizune. Who was it that trained you? Who was there for you when your uncle died and had no one left? I am your sensei and I expect you to side with me, said Tsunade, with Shizune glaring at her and surprisingly slapped the Sannin across the face. Side with you? It was because of you and your hatred for this boy that he's suffered enough already. But even now it's still not enough for you, is it, Tsunade? That all this pain Naruto endured be enough to remove any hatred of Kyuubi from your soul? Well, I won't side with you on this. I've put up with your gambling, drinking, and the occasional running from debt collector until the money was gathered to pay them off. But I won't stand by you on this matter. My loyalty is to the fire daimyo and Uzumaki Naruto, said Shizune, seeing Tsunade's face now filled with shock and betrayal. You're betraying me? Me? After all I've done for you? Said Tsunade before she was restrained by several samurai. And what have you done to Naruto? Even now you don't feel any regret for betraying him. Nor does he, yelled Shizune before she pointed a finger at Jiraiya, who stayed silent the entire time, and refused to look at the younger woman. He killed Kushina. That monster is the reason she's dead, yelled Tsunade defiantly. Enough, yelled the fire daimyo, making both women stop their verbal war before it got too out of control. Daimyo-sama, I humbly wish to appoint myself as Uzumaki Naruto's personal doctor, and pledge on my life to your service. I swear to never betray either of you, said Shizune, bowing to the fire daimyo, and wished for him to accept her request. I accept your request, Shizune-san. After these two leave the capital for Konoha, I will arrange for you to see Naruto, and watch over him to ensure any severe injury can be healed, said the fire daimyo before motioning his guards to take the two Sannin out of the room and eventually out of his home. I will do everything in my power to protect Naruto, said Shizune, as she saw the feudal lord in front of her nod, and his face went from happy to serious. I will hold you to that, Shizune. For the day you betray this vow is the day you die, said the fire daimyo, with the woman nodding and accepting such a consequence. Shizune had no intention of betraying the boy. She was not Tsunade. Chapter 2 Inquisition. Naruto panted, as he walked carefully on the wooden poles while blindfold, and readied his bow staff for another assault by the shinobi monk in position to strike. At the moment, he was shirtless, wearing grayish GI pants the other shinobi monks wore, and his wrists tapped near his elbow. What was once a short, scrawny, and malnourished child was now a young warrior with lean muscle from years of constant training under his belt. At the moment, he was going through one of the many exercises at the Fire Temple, which were insane at first, but now after 5 long years of constant training, this was a walk in the park, and one of the boy's favorite pastime. When Naruto wasn't training with the monks, he was training with Itachi, who had proved to be an interesting sensei, as he believed in not fighting unless necessary, and for a noble cause greater than himself. Something Itachi felt was what the Yondaime Hokage believed in, and Naruto agreed was true too. Kyuubi didn't like the idea of an Uchiha being so close, making his thoughts known to Naruto, with the blonde ignoring them for now, and focus on the man's training exercises. "Steady, Naruto," said Bansai, seeing the boy dodge a strike before blocking another, and moving quickly blocked another hit aimed for the back of his head. Jumping into the air, Naruto landed on a wooden pole 5 down from his now previous position, and instantly sensed a shinobi monk trying to take the ground out from under him. Leaping to another wooded pole, the blonde felt the movement of the staff from the enemy staff below his feet before it could hit, and soon found himself in the enemy trap to attack him from nearly all sides. The shinobi monks attacked swiftly, decisively, and landed a few hits of the own on Naruto despite his best efforts in blocking them. And they didn't hold anything back either. Still, Naruto had gotten through the pain when he first started this, and ignored it to keep pressing on until an opening appeared from a missed strike. Leaping away from his foes, the Kyuubi Jinchuriki expanded all his senses, and found some of the enemy moving to force him back into the trap. However, Naruto was not one to be trapped more than once, as struck back against several of them, hearing the cries of pain, and surprise at the change in his tactics. Others soon came at him so he couldn't catch his breath, but Naruto held his ground, and successfully repelled his enemy from his person. "That's enough," said Bansai, seeing the shinobi monks obey and Naruto doing so several seconds after the command to ensure it wasn't a trick. Removing his blindfold, Naruto wiped the wetness from his forehead, and looked down at his exposed torso to see the bruises there already fading. Shizune had given him a full medical exam the moment she arrived, wanting to see just how malnourished his body had been, and wasn't surprised to see his body had only just begun recovering from such a thing. She was glad the shinobi monks had begun countering the problem, and was a little on guard when seeing Itachi at the Fire Temple. However, after the Uchiha prodigy explained his purpose, Shizune was more at ease, and watched Naruto's training with a careful eye. "How did I do, Bansai-sensei?" said Naruto, as he leapt down from the training platform with the greatest of ease, and saw the old monk smile approvingly at him. "Good. Though you have to still be mindful of your surroundings. You got hit quite a few times," said Bansai, seeing Naruto nod in understanding. "I know. But if I'm going to be great one day, I have to put myself in situations where I might be attacked, and hurt on all sides," said Naruto, with Bansai nodding, since there were cases whereon shinobi could be surrounded on all sides by the enemy. "True. Now go get cleaned up and dressed, my boy. Kairiku will be escorting you to the fire capital to see the daimyo and for sword practice," said Bansai, with Naruto nodding with excitement, but a controlled excitement, with his energy being more focused and mature for his age. "Yes, Bansai-sensei. Will I be training with Hajime Saito again?" said Naruto eagerly, since the samurai was a man that embraced the ideal of the samurai. "I don't know. Possibly. I must admit, we were all surprised when you asked to take up his sword style, since you're not left-handed." "Why is that?" said Bansai, with the blonde just grinning. "It throws the enemy off. They see a right-handed guy and don't expect him to use the sword with his left hand," said Naruto, with Bansai liking that concept. "I see. Interesting idea, my boy. It will serve you well in the future," said Bansai, with the boy nodding and running off to get ready. "He's grown so much in the past 5 years. It's almost hard to imagine," said Kairiku, as the shinobi monk, and a member of the Guardian 12 walked over to Bansai to see the boy head to his room. "Yes. That boy has the power to change the world. For good or for ill," said Bansai, as he saw the potential the boy had when they first started to train him with the bow staff, and was impressed with the child's adaptation skills. "It will be his choice to make in that regard. All we can do is make sure he is strong enough to take the journey down life's complex road," said Kairiku, as he had several talks with Asuma, which turned into heated arguments about the boy, and how the third Hokage wanted the child back in Konoha. Apparently, the third Hokage, the councils, and various other factions in Konoha felt the boy should stick to one path that allowed Konoha to prosper while others suffered for it. But the shinobi monks at the fire temple knew better, as they had seen the boy's sheer potential, and knew it would be selfish to let such a thing not be shared by all those in need of it. Konoha at the moment, the Sandaime Hokage looked at everyone in the room attending this meeting and knew the past 5 years had not been wonderful for the village. Far from it. After his return to Konoha, the Hokage convened a meeting with everyone, and informed them of what had happened with the fire daimyo. As expected, the meeting room went into an uproar, and various members on the councils demanded Naruto be returned to Konoha to be killed. Others called for the boy to be interrogated and imprisoned for trying to manipulate the daimyo with his demonic influence. They would not stand for the boy's actions that had drawn the feudal lord's eyes toward the village, which the Sandaime had spent a great deal of time and effort in preventing by assuring the fire daimyo he could run Konoha without assistance. Now the fire daimyo thought otherwise if the past 5 years was any indication. It took roughly an hour for the Sandaime to quiet the voices down before telling them that the fire daimyo was less than pleased with the village and the audit being performed had revealed more unpleasant things that would soon bring down the feudal lord's wrathful hand. Apparently, the audit revealed Konoha spending more money than they apparently had on record, and a redirection of funds in various places had been discovered leading to Danzo's private security force. The Sandaime had officially disbanded the group for some time and had reintegrated all the shinobi in the program into normal shinobi ranks befitting their skill level. At the same time, the Sandaime allowed Root under his former rival's command, using this excuse provided that Root protected Konoha, and Danzo never used these shinobi to undermine his authority. However, the audit revealed the program to be very much active, under a new title to get it conveniently around the Sandaime's order, and thus any action by the daimyo at the moment on where the money was being sent. The feudal lord was less than pleased since Root was still Root no matter how Danzo dressed it up, and the daimyo ordered that the Sandaime's former rival be forbidden from having any such force under his command. The old war hawk was silently fuming over that for days if not weeks after, since all of his shinobi were unable to move from the shadows under his direct command or else he would be executed for treason. The auditing of Konoha's financial records had also revealed that both the civilian and shinobi council had members in the two groups pilfering the funds from the Shinobi Academy account. The result of this had been the severe cutbacks on various programs and ultimately caused the Shinobi Academy to produce shinobi not up to par with the older generation. Academy students weren't told how severe a life of a shinobi was, but rather the glory and history Konoha had since its founding. They became unprepared for the hardships that came with being a ninja, with their senseis having to pick up the slack if they graduated after taking the real test. When Tsunade and Jiraiya returned to Konoha after their own chewing out from the fire daimyo, many were ecstatic about having the two Sannin back in the village. At least until they learned of the feudal lord of Fire Country ripping into them about their own neglect of their duties as Naruto's godparents. When they told the Sandaime of their given punishment, the Hokage sighed in defeat, knowing that any chance of finding and extracting Naruto from the fire daimyo's grasp was not possible. If anyone could have found the boy before retrieving him, it would have been Jiraiya, but the fire daimyo had basically threw the Sannin into the largest prison in all of Fire Country, that was Konoha, and told him to stay there until otherwise commanded. That was 5 years ago. Word of what happened regarding the fire daimyo's disapproval Konoha reached various ears of influential people and clientele, with many questioning their decision to employ the services of Leaf Shinobi. It put a significant dent in the budget, as the fire daimyo was redirecting the mismanaged funds away from Konoha to the Namikaze and Uzumaki clan accounts, while taxing the village heavily overall for their actions against the boy. Everyone was feeling the financial hit, while many in Konoha wondering what they had done to deserve this action by the fire daimyo. Many blamed Naruto, of course, but with the country's feudal lord supporting the boy, it was impossible to find and punish the Kyubi Jinchuriki in their own way. Ironically, the actions of the fire daimyo had made the Uchiha clan think twice about the coup. They wanted to perform against the Hokage and take over Konoha, since the village was now under the feudal lord's ire. To take it over now or anytime soon would just make the Uchiha clan a target for the fire daimyo to remove the village off the face of the map. Plus, with Itachi training Naruto, the boy could put in a good word with the fire daimyo about Uchiha Fugaku's eldest child, and get in the man's good graces. As you know, it's been 5 years since Uzumaki Naruto was taken from Konoha by the fire daimyo, and discovered our actions against the boy. My son Asuma, who is one of the Guardian 12, was allowed to send me a message, and inform us that Naruto will be returning to Konoha soon, said the Sandaime, with many perking up at this news. Good. The sooner we subdue and beat the demon into the ground again the better, said a member of the civilian council, while the clan heads shook their heads, knowing that such an act would sign the village's death warrant. That's not possible. I have been informed Naruto will be coming to Konoha to examine the village in its entirety. That includes the people and how they will react to him being back in the village. Not only that, but the boy is going to be made an official shinobi, but under the fire daimyo's direct command, and cannot be commanded by myself upon his arrival, said the Sandaime, with many cursing this fact, since the hope that when the boy was made a shinobi they could have the Hokage force the child into submission with his authority. So we just let him walk around without any action being taken? Said Homura, as he didn't agree with this at all, and saw Danzo gripping his cane tightly. Not surprising, since the man had lost practically everything from the fire daimyo audit and barely kept his position on the councils at all. There is nothing we can do, Homura. Uzumaki Naruto is under the protection and direct command of the fire daimyo, said the Sandaime Hokage, with many on the councils not liking this one bit. We would not be in this situation had you been straight with us from the start, Hiruzen, said Inoiki, with the Hokage stiffening at what the man was referring to about Naruto's parentage. Hold your tongue, Yamanaka. You have no right to speak so disrespectfully to him like that, said Koharu, seeing the Yamanaka raise an eyebrow at her. And why should I be respectful to him? Why should any of the clan heads in this room be respectful? This man lied to us. He told us that Naruto was a no-named orphan. How his last name was given in honor of Kushina, and that was that. When we asked about the boy's father, he told all of us in this very room that Naruto's father was dead, and refused to give a name. He implied the boy was an illegitimate child from some nameless woman from one of the seedy areas of Konoha, said Inoiki, seeing the Hokage looking away from him. You made the people of Konoha believe Naruto deserved to only get the scraps of food he ate out of the garbage. Don't think I'm exaggerating about that. I know, because that's what he did at my home one night when he was 5 years old, said Kuza heatedly at the Sandaime, while the old Kage stayed silent. He wasn't exactly thrilled to trust others in Konoha either, thanks to the attacks made by all the troublesome morons in this village. My wife tried to take him in one night. That was one of the coldest nights we had on record, but he took off running into the darkness, and chose the bitter cold over her help. He actually felt safer in that weather than being a guest in the home of his fellow villagers. What does that tell you? Said Shikaku, finding the actions of this village to be a real eye-opener. That brat deserves to suffer after all we've lost, said Haruno Midori, who was a civilian councilwoman, and had long since despised Uzumaki Kushina for snagging Minato. Many years ago, Midori during her academy days had dreamed of finding herself living a life of luxury despite seeking a career as a shinobi, and saw that future with Namikaze Minato due to his skills one day being that of a prodigy. Midori knew Minato would one day be a shinobi destined for greatness and tried during the years to get him interested in her. However, the future Yondaime Hokage did not embrace such flirtatious advances from Midori, and instead became interested in the red-haired freak with a temper that was Uzumaki Kushina. It was then Midori tried to remove Kushina altogether, as she had heard Kumo was interested in the woman due to her bloodline limit, and decided to get rid of her by leaking information to them, knowing they would act on it. The plan had been to remove the red-haired Uzumaki and nab Minato. In a moment of weakness she expected the man to feel at losing Kushina. Unfortunately, Minato had not crumbled like she thought, and had actually gone after the bitch, with the two falling even deeper in love. It was at that point, Midori had given up being a shinobi, and decided for a more administrative-based position within the leaf that would favor her in being very close to Minato. The new plan involved she worm her way into Minato's heart, then his pants, and finally his fortune by seducing him to the point where Midori would give birth to his first child, so the man would have to marry her. She would suffer through 9 long months of pregnancy, live with Minato for a few years, divorce him, and basically get paid child support in her dream house paid for by her future ex-husband's money. Unfortunately, Kushina had once again beat her by marrying Minato first, and then had becoming pregnant with the man's child. When the Sandaime told everyone the boy's name, Midori knew right away it was Minato's child, but the fact Kushina was the boy's mother, and not herself, had made the pink-haired woman irate inside. Hence why she had moved for the boy's immediate death, as Midori was going to see that Kushina's child was killed somehow, and being the Kyubi Jinchuriki was the perfect excuse. Sadly, the old Kage wouldn't have it, clearly for long-term reasons he wouldn't divulge, and Midori decided to make the boy's life a painful one to further spite Kushina. Now it seemed the gods above were once again conspiring against Midori to prevent her from getting revenge against Kushina for bagging Minato. Lost? You didn't lose anything. You wailed and cried about your home being damaged when we all know it was one of the few buildings to come out intact. Why you even got a nice sum of money is beyond me, said Tsume angrily, with Midori glaring back at her. Go chase a cat, said Midori, as she had used that money to redesign her home in certain areas, and felt a good deal of satisfaction in using money from the Uzumaki clan account to make it happen. Until the fire daimyo's audit took money from her bank account equal to the amount taken from the Uzumaki clan account to properly reimburse Naruto for taking it from him. For Midori, she felt Naruto was not worthy of such wealth, and felt such a fortune belong in her capable hands. Why should some demon child be entitled to such money when a more worthy and capable person could manage the funds? Midori wouldn't stand for it. Enough. Naruto will be arriving sometime next week. I expect everyone in Konoha to be civil and polite to him. If we don't turn the fire daimyo and Naruto's opinion of us around, we may lose all funding with our enemies coming to finish us off. I don't need to remind you of how the rest of the world has adopted a similar view after several things were brought to light by the inquisition made by our feudal lord, said the Sandaime, as he saw the various people in the room shift uncomfortably in their seats, and knew the leaf was on thin ice at the moment. One false step and they would fall through. Capital of Fire Country, Naruto stood across from his teacher Hajime Saito. Both had swords at the ready, as the fire daimyo, Kairiku, Bansai, Itachi, and Shizune watched them intently to see how this match would go. Saito had been Naruto's teacher in the way of the samurai 2 years after training with the shinobi monks at the fire temple in order for the boy to learn how to channel his energy properly while learning patience. Saito himself was a samurai of extreme discipline, who many said was the pure embodiment of Bushido, and did not take a student unless they showed great potential. Saito saw that potential in Naruto, as the two met at the fire daimyo's request, and the Kyubi Jinchuriki was honored to meet the man many claimed was in many aspects the samurai equivalent of the Yondaime Hokage himself. Naruto trained under Saito rigorously since then, as he balanced his training with the shinobi monks, Itachi, and finally the master samurai warrior himself. They started off simple, as all students must, and trained using kendo sticks, with Naruto being more on the receiving end of their matches. When they weren't sparring, Saito taught Naruto the principles of Bushido, how samurai embraced enlightenment like monks do, but unlike monks a samurai stains his hands bloody like shinobi do, and at the same time keep their honor by only drawing their swords in the name of their daimyo when the time calls for it. Saito believed that if monks are on one side that was light, shinobi were on the other in shadowy darkness, then samurai were in the middle between them, and keeping an eye on both sides to ensure neither one moved against the daimyo. Clang! 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 Saito's and Naruto's swords clashed violently against one another. Each one trying to push the other back, with Saito slowly winning and Naruto moving to his right to make the samurai warrior's own momentum be used against him. However, Saito shifted his stance, and went left when Naruto moved right. The two clashed against each other, trying to get an advantage over the other, but neither one was succeeding, and both had very close calls. Their swords had cut through their opponent's clothing, hair, and flesh, though minor cuts at best. Enough, said the fire daimyo when both of them had gone into the Godotsu stance and knew they were getting serious. Based on my observations when fighting him, Uzumaki Naruto's speed is impressive for someone so young, and his skill with a sword is equally impressive. His level of patience is high, which one needs whether becoming a samurai, shinobi, or a monk, said Saito, seeing Naruto bow to his teacher and hearing his praise. Is he ready to face the outside world? Said the fire daimyo, seeing Saito look at Naruto with an intense analytical gaze. Yes, said Saito after several minutes, with Naruto letting out a breath he didn't know was being held back. Do you agree, Itachi? Kairiku? Said the fire daimyo, seeing both nod. I believe he is ready, said Itachi simply. So do I, said Kairiku, seeing Naruto's face showing he was grateful for their opinions of him being so positive. Very well. Uzumaki Naruto. As fire daimyo of Fire Country, I hereby declare you to be a shinobi not only of Konoha, but a shinobi under my direct command, and only answer to me. You are trained to be a warrior of light, dark, and a gray middle that allows you to walk these worlds. You will be messenger. My harbinger I send in my name to enforce my will. My eyes and ears of the Leaf Village. The defender of Fire Country and feudal lord. You work in the shadows to serve the light and smite all the evil that threatens us like your parents. Do you accept this great responsibility I have set before you, Uzumaki Naruto? Said the fire daimyo, seeing the boy now kneeling in front of him. Yes. I will be your harbinger. Your wish is my command, said Naruto before he was handed a shinobi headband, but was different from the Konoha headband the village wore, and saw the key difference right away. It had the fire daimyo symbol instead of the symbol used on for the leaf. Then rise and be recognized by all as my harbinger. Rise and be known as Namikaze Uzumaki Naruto, the yin-yang fox, said the fire daimyo, with Naruto rising from his kneeling position, his headband now on his forehead, and saw his various sensais giving him a bow of respect. Thank you for the title, daimyo-sama. I am honored, said Naruto humbly, with the fire daimyo, who just smiled at him, and put a comforting hand on the boy's shoulder. You will be given traveling rights to ensure there are no problems with your means of reaching this country's allies to deliver messages. Just because you will be a shinobi under my direct command doesn't mean your missions involve killing people all over, since it would bring about a bad reputation for the both of us. However, I feel your first mission should be inside fire country instead of out, and require your own personal inspection leading up to the Chunin exams being hosted in Konoha this year, said the fire daimyo, with Naruto nodding and understanding what he was saying. And should the end results of my inspection of Konoha be less than encouraging? If they are found wanting? Said Naruto, with the fire daimyo frowning slightly. Speak to me in a coded conversation. I'll read between the lines. The phrase for the leaf passing will be the fire has been purified. The phrase for their failure will be the fire has been corrupted, and I will order its liquidation soon after, said the fire daimyo, seeing Naruto nod, knowing it was time for Konoha to be judged. Konoha. A few days later, he's finally here, said Jiraiya, seeing Naruto walking into Konoha from his position the roof. The brat's lucky the fire daimyo is protecting him right now. I want nothing more than to choke the life right out of that brat, said Tsunade, as she saw Itachi and Shizune also walking with him into Konoha, with the people in the village giving them a wide amount of space. Easy, Tsunade Heim. This isn't a pampered kid we're talking about down there. Look at the way he walks and the look of focus in his eyes. He's been trained to defend himself against any potential enemy. Maybe even against us. Even if you got your hands around his throat, I'd bet the kid would make you work for it, and leave more than a few bruises to remember him by, said Jiraiya, as she saw Naruto heading for the Hokage tower, and wondered what the Gaki had planned for the Sandaime. Well, I'm going to enjoy seeing the Hokage reprimand Shizune and Itachi. Naruto may be under the fire daimyo's protection, but they aren't, and it's going to be pleasure seeing Sensei rip right into them like the daimyo did to us, said Tsunade before heading to the Hokage tower with a smirk on her face. Something tells me it won't be that simple, said Jiraiya, though it was more to himself than Tsunade. And Jiraiya was right. It was not that simple. When Naruto entered the Hokage's office, his escort of Itachi and Shizune stayed outside so to stay away from the Hokage. The Namikaze instantly handed the Sandaime a message scroll with the fire daimyo seal and simply said, read it, before the cage could even say anything to him. Upon reading the message, the Sandaime Hokage let out a tired sigh of defeat, and nodding to the boy that he understood the order given. Curious, Jiraiya along with Tsunade entered the room after Naruto left. Once the Hokage gave the brat a nod, and the toad Sannin read the scroll before his jaw dropped. Dear Hiruzen, if you are reading this, then Konoha has decided to not act recklessly, and tried to harm Naruto like I suspected might happen. In case you are wondering, I have informed the boy of his heritage, and has been aware of what should be rightfully his from the start. You will in no way stop him from living in the Namikaze estates, you will in no way try to manipulate him to be your prized weapon, and you will in no way allow the villagers to hurt Naruto. You will inform the councils, clans heads, and the entire village populace of Naruto heritage if it isn't known already. If your two students so much as try anything violent with him, he has my permission to not only be violent back, but kill them if there is no other recourse, and see to it that you are punished for not stopping either Sannin. The same goes for every shinobi of every rank under your command, as I won't tolerate any of them undermining my authority, and remind your village that it exists only because I allow it. Signed, Fire Daimyo of Fire Country. This was not how I expected things to go when I first put my plan in motion for Naruto, said Hiruzen, with Jiraiya reading the note over once, twice, and even 3 times while trying to process this in his head. There is not a plan in the world that can keep an Uzumaki down or even control. I warned you this might happen when I asked after things regarding the Kyuubi attack. Calm down, said Jiraiya, seeing the Sandaime scowl slightly. I know, Jiraiya. You've been reminding me of this for the past 5 years. But I'm not ready to throw in the towel in regards to Naruto. He will serve Konoha and he will be its weapon in the manner I desire, said the Sandaime firmly to his former student. Careful, sensei. Naruto isn't naive anymore. You can't manipulate him so easily, said Jiraiya while the Sandaime growled at him. He's still young and I'm not out of the game yet, said the Sandaime before the sound of fighting echoed in the village below. Oh no, said Jiraiya, having forgotten that Tsunade was also in the room, but the female Sannin didn't read the message since was expecting to see Shizune get a scolding from the Sandaime, and prey on the seed of guilt the Hokage would plant. Stop her, Jiraiya. Now, said the Sandaime, seeing Jiraiya leap out of the window to the sound of battle. Konoha streets, hold still, brat, said Tsunade, as she tried to slug the blonde boy right in the face, but Naruto was too small, too agile, and too fast a target to land a descent punch. You are making a mistake in doing this, Tsunade-san. Such behavior is unbefitting for my godmother, said Naruto, with his words enraging the woman further and trying even harder to land a head-exploding punch to the boy's skull. Shut up. You are the reason your mother is dead. Did anyone tell you that? That your mother's dying breath was caused by you taking your first one? No? Well, it was, said Tsunade, hitting the ground while Naruto leapt onto a building, his face unreadable, but his eyes blazed with fury, and narrowed at the blonde Senju before him. You think I don't know what happened that night? Kyubi told me everything. He told me how he was responsible for her death when my father tried to seal him into me. How the fox tried to achieve freedom and not be caged again by trying to kill me, so there was no one to seal him away. I know my mother took the clawed strike that was meant for me that night, said Naruto, as the Kurama had told him everything that happened, and even showed the boy his memories of it. It was hard to take such a moment in when Kurama had revealed the truth of that night and his true name to be Kurama, with Kyubi just being a title. Not that boy was going to reveal that to anyone, except the fire daimyo, of course, as the feudal lord needed to be told the truth about this, and keep his teachers in the dark about that should certain forces try to extract information from their minds. If certain parties were to learn about what had happened that night, they might try to find a way to duplicate it regardless if the eyes of the Sharingan were involved, and thus make things worse in the long run should they decide to rip Kurama right out of Naruto's body. And you listened to him? Believed him? That wretched demon, who has slain so many, and been a bane on Konoha, said Tsunade, ripping a pole out of the ground and getting ready to use it like a weapon. Possibly a javelin from what Naruto could see judging by her stance with it. He's not the one trying to kill me for something that wasn't my fault, said Naruto like he was talking about the weather, and it pissed off Tsunade more. Tsunade, stop, said Jiraiya, as he appeared behind her, and summoned several armored toads that now surrounded her either side. Why? Give me one good reason why I shouldn't crush him right now, said Tsunade, as she continued to look at Naruto, and the boy looked back unafraid. Because if you don't, then the village suffers, and so will Sensei. The fire daimyo gave Naruto a message to give Sensei, and it states any attack on him is an attack on the feudal lord of Fire Country. A feudal lord, who owns the lands this village is founded on, and can take the right for this village to be here away, said Jiraiya, with Tsunade struggling right now at the notion of letting Naruto walk away from her without a scratch. Fine. But this isn't over, Brad, said Tsunade before dropped the pole and left while she stomped the ground heavily so it shook so everyone knew her displeasure. Happy? Said Jiraiya sarcastically to Naruto after he jumped down to the ground. That's a one-time freebie for the village. The next person who tries that will be slain, and will be a nail in Konoha's coffin, said Naruto before walking away from the toad Sannin. You're lucky Tsunade didn't kill Yugaki. One hit from her and you'd be dead instantly, said Jiraiya, with Naruto stopping and looking back at him. No. Tsunade's lucky I didn't go all out and kill her when I could have drawn my sword at any time. I may be young, but for the past 5 years I have been constant training, and honing my skills to one day surpass my father. I intend to see just how far I've become in that regard real soon, said Naruto before he was gone in a swirl of leaves with Jiraiya stunned. Appearing in another section of Konoha, the son of the Yondaime walked through its streets unafraid of its people, and what harm they might try to unleash on him. Many people were glaring, as they recognized him due to his whisker marks, and immediately began whispering curses at him. It was so pathetic in Naruto's mind. He almost felt sad for the fools, but then reminded himself that such an emotion would prevent him from being objective, and influence the overall decision to be made about Konoha's future. If Konoha even had a future. Stopping, Naruto turned to look into an alley to see some kind of fight going on against one person fighting many, and by the looks of things the outnumbered person was losing. Curious, yet cautious all the same, the blonde walked towards the group to find it was a drunk group of chonin, and one jounin holding down a single kunyochi. Judging from the vest she wore, the woman was chonin rank, and was from the Inuzuka clan if the marks on her face were any indication. Walking through the shadows of the alley, Naruto examined his surroundings for this area, and gauging how to fight these fools. Dumb bitch. You Inuzuka think you're tough shit. Well, you're not, said the jounin of the group, who was clearly the leader of them, and stunk the most of booze. I'll kill you for this, said the Inuzuka woman, as she was bound by the group, and tried to fight them when they removed the chonin vest with them hooting like the pigs they were. Even if she's wearing a black tank top under this vest, you can tell this bitch has got some nice tits, and not even a bra. I think she was using the vest as one, said one chonin, who was holding the vest, and saw it was tightened just for such a purpose. Damn it. I would have worn a bra or bindings if some of the more rowdy dogs didn't go nuts in my room before my last mission, thought the Inuzuka woman, seeing them all laughing now. It makes you wonder if she's wearing any panties, said the chonin from behind the prey. She's an Inuzuka. Of course not. All the women in the clan are submissive horny bitches that just need a man's cock to put them in their place. Strip her, said the jounin while the chonin around him moved to do just that when the sound of footsteps were heard from behind them. Have you no shame? Are you that dishonorable? Said Naruto coldly, seeing the group of Chunin and one Jounin look at him with snarls on their faces. Back off, brat. This is for adults only. You may have a headband, but you're still a brat, and by the time your body is physically ready this bitch will already be used up, said the Jounin before going back to the Inuzuka and ripped her top open. This is your last chance. Walk away. Walk away or I will make you beg for death, said Naruto while his hand tightened and turned into fists while the leather fingerless gloves made a noise in the process. You're still here? Get the brat, said the Jounin with two of his Chunin buddies moving to remove the blonde from the alley and possibly rough him up elsewhere before getting back in time get their own shot in with their quarry. Fools, said Naruto coldly, as he moved swiftly against the two drunks moving against him, and one's arm while shattering the other's knee before having both their necks in his hands. Hey! Let them go, Jinan. That's an order, said the Jounin while his two Chunin pals were being choked out by this upstart Jinan. You have no right to command me, worm. I don't answer to a rapist, much less a rapist of Jounin rank in this village, said Naruto before the sound of two crushed larynxes echoed in the alley and the blonde dropped them. Get him. First one to kill the brat gets to take this Inuzuka's virgin ass, said the Jounin seeing his other Chunin followers charged forward while the leader of the group held onto the Inuzuka woman painfully by her hair. There is only one thing worse than a fool and it's a group of blind fools that follow him, said Naruto in an emotionless tone his Uchiha for sensei would be proud to hear. The group of Chunin didn't know what hit them, as Naruto unleashed his wrath upon them all, and struck without mercy. He broke one Chunin's leg in 3 places, followed by the rib cage in 5, and both arms in 6. Another Chunin was hit in the throat with a single punch and was slowly choking to death from the lack of oxygen. Naruto then took out the last 2 Chunin by stabbing them in the legs with kunai, cutting through the tendons of each limb before simply getting behind his foes and then striking their backs with those very weapons. Stay back. Stay back or I'll slit her throat, said the Jounin with a kunai to the woman's throat while seeing Naruto looking at him unafraid. You won't kill her, said Naruto calmly while the Jounin snarled at him. And what makes you believe that? Said the Jounin while putting the kunai closer to the Inuzuka's throat. Because the instant you slit her throat, I will have all the time I need to kill you, and it will not be quick. It will be slow. Painful. Every moment of every minute of every second will be that of untold agony. Is that what you want? Said Naruto coldly, as he drew his sword, and went into his Garotsu stance, and saw the Jounin was shocked to see it. You're no shinobi. You're a samurai, said the Jounin with Naruto smirking at him. No. I'm something else. Look at my headband, said Naruto seeing the Jounin doing just that and almost stumbled back from his hostage. That's the symbol for the fire daimyo. You're similar to the Guardian 12 Sashes, said the Jounin seeing the boy smirk in a more wolfish manner. Similar, yet different. I am the harbinger of the fire daimyo. I am Namikaze Uzumaki Naruto, the yin-yang fox, said Naruto, as he rushed forward faster than the Jounin expected, and was stabbed through the arm holding the kunai into the chest area. You are the QB, brat, said the Jounin while feeling his life fading while he looked at the boy's cold blue eyes. I'm also the son of the Yondaime, or didn't my last name make that clear? Said Naruto with the Jounin looking shocked in hearing this. You? The Yondaime's son? That's impossible, said the Jounin while blood leaked from the side of his mouth. Hardly impossible. You really think the Yondaime would use just any child? Who better to entrust the fox to than his own offspring? His progeny, said Naruto before twisting the blade to make the man cry out in pain before finally slumping to the ground dead. Pulling out his sword, Naruto flicked it clean of the crimson liquid, and then sheathed his weapon before walking over to the downed Inuzuka woman. She was in shock that he had just killed or crippled a group of Chunin and one Jounin in such a short time. What was left of her shirt covered her upper body enough to prevent him from seeing too much of the female body many perverts would get nosebleeds over, but it was clear the blonde wasn't interested in taking over what these rapists started, and freed her arms from their bindings before holding out a hand for her to take. Thank you for saving me, said the woman, as she took his hand, and he easily lifted her off the ground in an instant. You shouldn't have been put through that, said Naruto seeing her nod before the area was covered with shinobi in the area. You are under arrest for assault, murder, and attempted rape of Konoha shinobi, said a female Anbu wearing a Nico mask with her unit at the ready and several other shinobi providing support. Wait. They tried to rape me. He saved me, said the Inuzuka while some of the leaf shinobi looked at each other with skeptical looks. This kid? Said one of the Anbu wearing a hawk mask. The boy is the rapist's. He has the woman under a genjutsu. Kill him. He is the QB, said one of the downed Chonin still alive while trying to crawl away. Kai, said the Nico masked Anbu in order to break any genjutsu that may be in the area. There was none. They tried to rape me. Naruto-san saved me, said the Inuzuka woman again with the Chonin on the ground injured trying to get away even faster. Here. This should cover you up more, said Naruto handing the woman her Chonin vest. Thank you Naruto-san. I'm Inuzuka Hana. The eldest of the Inuzuka clan matriarch's children, said Hana, as she took the Chonin vest, and wore it to cover her upper body. Namikaze Uzumaki Naruto. Though you knew that when I killed the Jounin leading the group of rapists, said Naruto with a smirk and Hana smiling at him though there was a hint of a glare behind it. Smart ass, said Hana though she mumbled it. We need to file a report about this with the Hokage and the two of you have to come with us, said Nico with Naruto and Hana nodding before heading to the Hokage tower. Not a bad first day for him Shizune-san, said Itachi having watched Naruto fight and kill the rapist targeting Hana. They had long since talked to Naruto about his first kill since his training started. Even going so far as to put a genjutsu on the boy where he was attacked and the only way to win was to kill. Itachi even used a blood clone to make it more realistic. It had been a bit nauseating for the boy, but education in the sense of understanding the need to kill your enemy, and at the same time not lose your humanity in the process. It had been harsh lesson, but one Naruto was thankful to learn now instead of when the first kill made him want to puke over it. He was combination of shinobi, monk, and samurai with killing being in the job description of 2 out of 3 while the one understood the concept of death being part of the natural order of things. I suppose. Death was too merciful for some of those Bakas, said Shizune, as she had almost gone down there to beat the life right out of those Konoha shinobi, but Itachi told her Naruto had to do it, or else the training they had put him through would mean nothing in the long run. Considering the crime they were committing, I doubt the afterlife will be pleasant to any of them, and even less once Ibiki-san unleashes his skills on those still alive, said Itachi with Shizune nodding in agreement. We better go. Tsunade and Jiraiya are most likely looking for us, said Shizune with Itachi nodding knowing his father was going to be doing the same too. Hokage Tower, so Naruto stopped some rapists. I thank you for that intervention, said the Sandaime with a kind grandfatherly smile. Save your apologies. The fact such fools exist in this village just proves how far the leaf has fallen. If you were really a strong Hokage, you would have made sure such an act was not possible during the day, and the fact they were intoxicated doesn't excuse them either. You've been letting this village fall from what my father created when he was Hokage of Konoha ever since you came back into this office, said Naruto seeing the Sandaime scowl slightly at him. Watch your tone Naruto. I am the Hokage in Konoha. My word is law in this village, said the Hokage in a firm tone while Naruto seemed unaffected and Hana was watching this sudden battle between these two. And I am the harbinger of the fire daimyo. I am his herald. I enforce his will. His law. He is the highest authority in all of Fire Country and the Leaf Village is in his country. Meaning his word surpasses yours and is the rightful law of the land. So don't try to use your title here to make me do your bidding because it won't work in the slightest. The Fire Daimyo has decreed me beyond your command, control, and coercion in doing what you want me to do. If there is a mission you wish to give with orders to kill 100 Anbu from Kumo with the outcome being Konoha falling should I fail, I am allowed to turn it down, and not care in the slightest if this village does fall because of that one mission. I work for the Fire Daimyo. Not you old man, said Naruto seeing the Sandaime scowl deepen. Be as that may. You are forbidden to kill any more of my shinobi since they are more valuable alive than dead, said the Sandaime despite what the message the Fire Daimyo had written for him to read. If the shinobi in this village commit any more dishonorable acts like that or worse which are not sanctioned missions then I would have to disagree with you, said Naruto with the old cage not liking that one bit. By killing them, you weaken Konoha, and ultimately Fire Country, said the Sandaime seeing Naruto raise an eyebrow at him. Which will be your fault in the long run because you allow such things to happen under your very nose. What punishment would you have given those rapists had I not intervened and they had been caught already violating this woman? Said Naruto seeing Hana stiffen knowing that shinobi response time to incidents in the village had been getting slower and it was pure luck the blonde had come to her rescue. They would have been taken to Morino Ibiki, who I'm sure you have heard of, and know he is not someone to cross when sent his way, said the Sandaime seeing Naruto nod, but he was hardly impressed with the punishment, and in a way so was Hana. And? Asides from what other punishment would you unleash on them? Said Naruto, as he wanted more than just the infamous man of the torture and interrogation department, and something more realistic. I don't know what you mean Naruto. Ibiki has put people in the mental hospital, said the Sandaime Hokage seeing the boy scowl. That's not enough. They should be publicly executed, said Naruto simply like it was the easiest answer in the world. That's a bit extreme, Naruto, said the Sandaime, seeing the boy scowl at him now. One of my teachers follows a simple yet strict code. The code he follows is swift death to evil. And that means everyone committing acts evil must be slain, said Naruto, seeing the Sandaime was shocked someone like that had taught the boy. Many in Konoha and on the councils would argue that you should be put to death under that same code, said the Sandaime, with Naruto scoffing at him. Then the people in Konoha and your councils don't understand the principle of the code taught to me by my sensei, said Naruto, seeing the Sandaime scowling further. You're talking about killing someone for doing an evil act when they could easily regret it later on. We must show mercy when permitted, said the Sandaime, seeing Naruto now have a deeper scowl of his own. Like the mercy you showed me? Like the villagers showed me? Like the shinobi in the village showed me? My father and mother wouldn't exactly be jumping with joy at what you tried to do, said Naruto, with the Sandaime forcing his face not to make a snarl-like look, though the blonde could see the facial muscles moving to do it before then. Your father and mother entrusted you to me so the village would be protected. I did what I had to do, said the Sandaime, seeing Naruto eyes become cold like glaciers in the Arctic, with the room suddenly feeling just as cold. Hana was looking between the two and felt like a fly on the wall that shouldn't be here listening to this. She couldn't leave now. Oh Kami, no. If she so much as moved a hand, a leg, or so much as talked, it would redirect the two in her direction. I feel like I'm in a soap opera, thought Hana, since these two were glaring at each other to the point where she once suspected kunai would shoot out of their eyes. If that were true, then you wouldn't have revealed I was the Kyubi Jinchuriki, and just had me listed as an orphan like all the other children in that place. If what you just said was true, then you wouldn't have had my godparents' access to my inheritance, and let the village spend what was not theirs to take from me. Do you think my parents would have wanted that? Do you think they would have tolerated that? Said Naruto, seeing the third Hokage's facial muscles trying to form a snarl now. The village comes first, Naruto. Konoha's survival requires you make sacrifices so that this village stays strong, said the Sandaime, seeing Naruto scoffing at him like he was an idiot. So according to that line of thought, you would agree without question that it's okay for Konoha to survive if it required the entire Sarutobi clan to die horrible, painful, and all-around inhumane deaths. That they should all suffer without being told why, only that they should die, and they should die slowly, said Naruto, seeing the Sandaime scowling at him. That's not what I meant, said the Sandaime, with Naruto raising an eyebrow at him. Are you saying that because I'm wrong? Or are you saying that because I used your own family as an example? Said Naruto, seeing the Sandaime snarling now. Both, said the Hokage angrily, with Naruto just smirking now while moving to the door to leave. They should call you the hypocrite of shinobi, said Naruto while letting out chuckle at the Sandaime's expense. Watch your mouth, boy. You will respect me while in Konoha regardless of your unique rank, said the Sandaime, with Naruto's smirk growing. You talk of respect, but I don't see the need to give it to an old hypocrite for a Hokage, and never will, despite your desire to control me. I am not this village's personal weapon. I am not your pet. You and the rest of the Leaf Village live at this very moment because I allow it. When my inquisition regarding Konoha is over, the fire daimyo will decide if he should spare the Leaf's wrath, or more than likely, burn it down, said Naruto, as he left the room, and ignored the Sandaime looking ready to blow a blood vessel in his head. Insolent child. Konoha lives because he allows it? He lived for the first 7 years of his life because I allowed it. No matter. I will see to it the boy works for Konoha one way or another before making the daimyo regret his interference and taking this village's main weapon away. Thought the Sandaime before eyeing Hana in the room, and realized the entire time he had been talking to Naruto had steered the reason for the boy being there with the Inuzuka. If you'll excuse me, Hokage-sama, but I'm going home now, and speak to my mother about the incident, said Hana before she was gone in a swirl of leaves. Great. Now Tsume will have an interest in protecting Naruto for saving her daughter's life, thought the Sandaime, knowing the Inuzuka clan was not a clan to mess with and anyone they supported had significant sway with the other clans. The Sandaime knew with the Inuzuka clan supporting the boy, then the Aburame clan would take an interest too, and it would continue from there until all the clans followed in their footsteps. The Hyuga clan could halt the sway of clan support if he could find a reason to smear Naruto's actions in some way that would earn him scorn from a few of the clans. It would divide the clans in terms of their support of each other and could give those that mattered a sympathetic shoulder to lean on while asking for support on certain matters. Unfortunately, there were no Hyuga in any place in, or out of the village that could be manipulated into scorning Naruto before letting it spread like a disease. But how? Who among the Hyuga clan could possibly provoke the boy and make the damn Uzumaki brat look like villain? Thinking over the list of Hyuga out in the village, who he could use against Naruto, The Sandaime found there was only one such Hyuga at the moment, and used the boy to his advantage. His name? Hyuga Neji, Rookie of the Year from the previous graduating class. All the Hokage needed was an opening where Neji would welcome the idea of fighting and wounding Naruto to the point where the boy would lose face with the daimyo upon the feudal lord seeing how pathetic the boy is without Konoha. That the boy should stay in the leaf and be re-educated so the Kyuubi Jinchuriki could become a proper shinobi instead of this abomination the fire daimyo had created. Whatever Naruto had become was something that the Sandaime considered a combination of things that should not be put together and intended to fix that, so the boy was the village weapon the way he saw the Jinchuriki should have been. Submissive. Loyal. Completely dependent on Konoha for everything, and should the boy actually succeed in becoming Hokage? Well, the Sandaime would have put measures in place before his second attempt at retirement or even death stopped him from making sure Naruto's time being Hokage was a short one. Minato had surpassed him in everything, and at such a young age too. It hurt the third Hokage's pride knowing all he had accomplished leading up to his retirement had been overshadowed by Jiraiya's student during the last Shinobi War. It was not even his own choice to have Minato become the Yondaime Hokage in the first place, despite what many thought about the decision. It had been forced by the people in Konoha when they had learned of the Sandaime Hokage seeking to retire and a successor to the title of Hokage being looked into. The Sandaime had actually planned to give the title of Hokage to Orochimaru, but the people were openly supportive of Minato during the war, while many felt the snake Sannin's appearance to be disgusting, and the discovery of the man's twisted experiments had forced his favorite student to flee from Konoha. The Minato wanted to confront Orochimaru himself, but the Sandaime convinced the young Hokage it was a matter between a teacher and his favored student in hopes of resolving things peacefully. Of course, the Sandaime had no intention of killing his old student, as the Sannin had been cheated out of something that was rightfully his to have, and he also knew Minato would have killed Orochimaru without hesitation. Orochimaru knew this too, as he had been warned ahead of time by the Sandaime himself of the impending raid, and made it look like the aging former Hokage failed to kill the Sannin due to a sense of fatherly-based sentimentality. The Anbu that had been killed in that room had made it all the more real in believing that was the case. In fact, the dead Anbu in that room were the only ones capable of sensing the deception the two played, and would have reported it to Minato had any of them been allowed to live. Namikaze Estate. Sometime later, Naruto looked around. The place was dusty. No one had been here for so many years, and he could thank the Sandaime along with his godparents for that. The security seals on the home kept any intruders from entering, and Naruto would bet his whisker marks that many had tried within the hour of the Yondaime's death. Only someone of Namikaze or Uzumaki blood could enter, from what Naruto saw of the seal designs all over the house. Though it seemed a last-minute modification was made before the Kyuubi attack, as the seals had been designed to only accept blood from the rightful person doing it of their own volition, and was determined by the chakra put into the seal with the blood. Since Naruto's chakra had been influxed during most of his horrible childhood due to Kurama, any such attempt to use him with his blood would have failed, and no doubt anyone with the desire to raid this home would have to wait until around this time when it was even remotely possible. I have a lot to do here and not enough time, thought Naruto while seeing a picture of his parents on a piece of furniture with some other pictures. Some showing Yondaime with his teacher, his students, and of course of Kushina herself. There was even one where she was strangling the man during one of her violent mood swings late into her pregnancy. In all likelihood, Naruto would venture a guess that his mother was blaming his father for getting her pregnant and looking like a beached whale. Ah yes. I remember that one. I could hear Kushina yelling at Minato for over an hour and hearing him crying out in pain from the vicious beating she gave that day, said Kurama while letting out an amused chuckle knowing the great Yondaime Hokage was reduced to a whimpering mess by his pregnant wife. Any ideas on how to clean this up faster? Thought Naruto after focusing on the task at hand to clean up this place. I say the shadow clone jutsu. It's a good thing Itachi knew how to use that jutsu for when he wanted you to multitask in your training regiment with him, said Kurama with Naruto smirking at him. Did you just compliment an Uchiha? Thought Naruto with a grin on his face, and the fox just growled at him. You're never going to let me live that one down, are you? Said Kurama with Naruto letting out a chuckle. Nope. Thought Naruto with the fox grumbling about how his vessel had him by the balls and it wasn't fair, while Naruto ignored him to make shadow clones of himself. A knock came to the door and Naruto answered to see Inuzuka Hana with another older woman, who Naruto could easily guess was the younger woman's mother, and he also had an idea of what they were here to see him about. Not surprising, since Hana would have gone directly home and told the Inuzuka matriarch everything that happened in that alley. Namikaze Naruto, I presume? Said the Inuzuka matriarch, though she could tell it was him since only a Namikaze could enter this clan home. You presume correct. I presume you are Inuzuka clan's matriarch and Hana's mother? said Naruto, seeing the woman smirk at him in an almost wolfish manner. That's correct. My name is Inuzuka Tsume. Can we come in? Said Tsume, with Naruto nodding before letting the two into his home. It's a little dusty still since I just came home to clean, so my apologies in advance if your noses become irritated from the dust or various smells lingering within the house, said Naruto while walking into the living room to find the army of shadow clones had done a terrific job. It's no problem. I'm surprised you can make shadow clones or know how to clean given you're so young, said Tsume, with her and Hana watching the army of Narutos working to make the place shine. The shinobi monks at the fire temple were excellent teachers, said Naruto, which was true, and had done many hours of cleaning like the other shinobi monks at the temple. I bet. Listen, the reason I'm here is because I wanted to thank you for saving Hana from the horrible act those Bekas were about to do, and the overall shame the village would have made her face, said Tsume, with Naruto looking confused and Hana squirmed a bit with nervousness. I don't understand, said Naruto, seeing Tsume nod since he was young and did not fully understand the politics of clans within Konoha and their connection to the village. I'll explain. Had Hana suffered through that, the Jounin along with his Chonin buddies would have no doubt done more than just defile her body. They would have gone after her spirit and honor by telling a perverting truth of what they did to the village, with all sorts of rumors spreading soon after. People would have called her a whore, a bitch in heat, and other vile names. With the rumors getting so far out of control, I would be forced to exile Hana from the clan, said Tsume sadly. She would be ostracized for something that wasn't true, yet the people believed was, and anyone that saw through the rumors would be in the minority. She would be alone with no real way to help your daughter being remotely possible, and her rapists laughing at her expense regardless if they were punished in the end, said Naruto, seeing Tsume nod. Yes. From Hana has told me, you heard them accuse the Inuzuka clan of having sired submissive women, and need to be dominated to be kept in place. That's a lie. I don't know if you chose to believe anything they said in their drunken state, but all Inuzuka women have always been proud, and strong members of the clan, said Tsume, with Naruto nodding in agreement. I don't doubt it. Hana showed a great deal of defiance and courage against them. If that's not strength, then I don't know what is, and neither does the Leaf Village if they were to do what you say they would have done if those rapists succeeded, said Naruto, with the Inuzuka clan matriarch nod firmly at that statement. I intend to see those that live suffer greatly for this. Until then, I have a favor to ask of you, and promise it will be repaid if accepted, said Tsume, with Naruto looking a tad bit interested while Hana protested. Mom. I'm not a child. I'm a grown woman, said Hana, though it fell on deaf ears. You are a growing teenager, Hana, said Tsume while glaring slightly at Hana. What is the favor? Said Naruto curiously. I was hoping you could be an extra pair of eyes and use those skills of yours to protect Hana from any future harm. Many don't know this, but Inuzuka women are considered a prize to perverted men, who wish to claim they've bagged one in a sexual romp, and all that horrible mess I mentioned earlier, said Tsume, with Hana blushing slightly while trying to hide her embarrassment and needing her mother's ask for help on this matter. That might prove difficult. I am here because the fire daimyo wishes me to review the leaf by the Chonin exams being hosted in Konoha this year. From what I've seen so far from this one day, the village doesn't have much time left, and your problem will resolve itself when the fire daimyo decides to liquidate the leaf, said Naruto, with both Inuzuka women looking shocked by this news. But you've only been here one day, said Hana, with Naruto looking at her and then at Tsume. True. However, I have already seen, and heard enough to tell the fire daimyo the leaf's end is coming soon regardless if I stay for another week. You can't possibly tell me that life in Konoha has been great for everyone after my father died all those years ago? Said Naruto, seeing Tsume and Hana looking at each other before looking back at him. Will you do what you can in helping Hana? Said Tsume, with Naruto looking at her, then at Hana, and then back at the Inuzuka clan head. I'll do what I can, Tsume-san, but like I said before, my time is limited, said Naruto, with Tsume nodding and getting up from her seat, with Hana doing the same. That's all I ask, Naruto-san, said Tsume, with Naruto getting up to escort the two out of his home. You can gain a great deal of political favor from this, said Kurama, knowing that one clan backing Naruto could lead to others if his cards were played right. I know, Kurama. But I can't concern myself with that right now. I need to get settled here and then work on furthering my investigation regarding the Sandaime's actions since that night. Not to mention any and all conspirators he may have had in my suffering, thought Naruto while assisting his shadow clones in cleaning up the place. Several days later, the Sandaime watched Naruto going through all the mission scrolls C-ranked and higher given out the previous few weeks to various teams. The councils had been infuriated that the boy was untouchable by the fire daimyo, and the civilian council called for some manner of protest be made against the feudal lord in the belief their actions would force the man to listen to them. The Hokage told them it wasn't possible, as the fire daimyo was not a spineless man, and Konoha was a small dot on the map of fire country. In short, they would have to put up, and shut up about this action, for the moment anyway. As for Naruto, he was doing an inquiry into all missions given recently, and questioning the Hokage's judgment regarding the qualifications of those sent to complete them. So far, the boy had found little in the ways of fault on who went where for what missions, but when Naruto picked up a C-ranked mission where Jinan Team 7 was sent to Wave Country to escort an old man there, and saw the special seal to make it classified added recently below under the mission parameters changes before unsealing it. Warning, urgent message from Jounin Sensei Hatake Kakashi. Leader of Jinan Team 7 tells the mission has encountered enemy shinobi of A-rank caliber hired by Gato of Gato Shipping Company. The mission is now A-rank and Jounin Sensei is requesting backup from Konoha to reinforce Jinan 7 immediately. Eyeing the date of this change being received, Naruto's eyes widened seeing the Jounin's message had reached the Hokage nearly a week ago, and there was no indication of the Jinan team in Wave Country getting their much needed backup. If Team 7 and the client weren't dead already, they soon would be if their foe would see to it soon. But why? Why not send backup to Team 7? Surely the Hokage had a team to spare that was more than capable of helping them. So, why? Going over the original mission assignment, Naruto saw the name Jinan Team 7, and his eyes looked over the three names. A boy named Sai with no name, one Haruno Sakura, and, what? It couldn't be? Uchiha Sasuke? Itachi's younger brother. Oh no. You're going to rescue the Uchiha brat, aren't you? Said Kurama, but he knew the reason already, and only because the boy on Team 7 was Itachi's little brother. If I don't, then the Uchiha will die, and Itachi will suffer for it. I can't let that happen. Thought Naruto with Kurama nodding in agreement. Fine. But for the record, if this kid is some brooding emo, who wants power, and acts like the world owes him everything, I'm going to be so pissed off, said Kurama, as he felt Naruto smirk, and knew how the fox hated the Uchiha clan for the most part. Me too, Kurama, thought Naruto before taking the mission scroll and heading out the door with a surprised Sandaime calling out for him to stop. Naruto didn't have the time nor patience to deal with the old cage at this moment. Uchiha clan district, Itachi sighed internally while trying to remain calm and his mind centered while this meeting with his father dragged on with the man. Ever since the Uchiha clan prodigy came home, he had been hounded each day with a meeting by his sire, and wanting to know how much influence the clan had with the fire daimyo. It was the same old thing every day with that man. Does the Uchiha clan have the daimyo's ear? Will he listen to you if a suggestion is made? What did you teach the Kyubi Jinchuriki? Where did you teach the Kyubi Jinchuriki? It was all the same. Fugaku himself wasn't exactly thrilled his eldest was training the Kyubi Jinchuriki, as he felt the boy's continued existence had been the source of the Uchiha clan's scorn by certain members of Konoha's government, and had wished the boy killed on more than one occasion. Up until 5 years ago when everything changed. Originally, Fugaku had planned for the Uchiha clan to perform a coup against the third Hokage, and take control of Konoha to right the injustice placed upon them. However, the scandal regarding the Kyubi Jinchuriki had placed the Sandaime in such a bad light that taking over would earn the Uchiha clan scorn from the fire daimyo, and put him the crosshairs of the feudal lord's wrathful hand. If the village was going to be liquidated, then Fugaku was going to let it happen while waiting for the rebuilding to start, and then humbly nominate himself to be new Kage of Neo Konoha. Tell me, Itachi. Tell me the Uchiha clan is favored by what you've done in teaching the Kyubi Jinchuriki, said Fugaku eagerly, as he wanted an answer from his eldest of his progeny, and saw Itachi keeping any form of emotion from his face. He has a name, father. Call him by it, said Itachi, as he saw Fugaku scowling at him, and knew his father did not want to even call Naruto by his name. What did you teach Naruto? Said Fugaku with the man trying his hardest to say boy's name and even remembering it. Nothing you need concern yourself with, father. I didn't reveal any secrets regarding the Sharingan, said Itachi, though technically he did in regards to countering the Sharingan with the help of the shinobi monks at the fire temple using the basic principle behind the Sharingan requiring eye contact from the enemy to work properly. Don't look at the Sharingan and its powers can't work on you. What about the fire daimyo? Is he impressed with what you've done? Impressed with the power of the Uchiha clan? Said Fugaku seeing Itachi look away from him. He is impressed with me, father. Not the Uchiha clan. Apparently his opinion of the Uchiha clan is barely higher than the Sandaime Hokage at the moment, and I think we both know why, said Itachi before looking back at his father with cold and narrowed eyes. And what does that mean? Said Fugaku while losing whatever patience he may have had with his eldest. You know what I'm talking about, father. The night of the Kyubi's attack, you along with mother were not around, and we both know why. Do not insult my intelligence. I am well aware of what you did that night. Who you met that night. You only brought mother along with you in the off chance he would wish for his payment to be her body, said Itachi at his father, who scowled at him, but kept his mouth shut, and it was a good thing too since Naruto entered the room. We need to talk, Itachi. It's about your younger brother, said Naruto, which got him the attention of both Uchiha in the room, and tossed Itachi the mission scroll. What? What happened to Sasuke? Said Fugaku, as he had focused on Sasuke ever since Itachi left to train the Kyuubi Jinchuriki, and hoped to get 2 prodigal offspring to help bring further greatness to the Uchiha clan. Ever since Itachi left to train Naruto, the younger of the 2 siblings was trying harder with each passing day to get out of his older brother's shadow, and not be referred to as Itachi's little brother all the time. Sasuke had tried to get in contact with Itachi, but he had no way of knowing where the man had gone, and Itachi himself didn't send any kind of message to Konoha for anyone to read. Their father didn't care at the time, as he kept on praising Itachi, and giving some slight positive comments to Sasuke every so often, though many would compare it to giving the clan head's youngest progeny scrapes if compliments were food. Probably because Sasuke had yet to activate his Sharingan to become a true member of the Uchiha clan like all those before him had done. Are you certain a team wasn't sent to back them up? Said Itachi, though even he knew the answer right way, since the Hokage would have added another scroll to this with the names of the teams sent to support Team 7. I'm sure. And I know the reason why the Sandaime didn't send reinforcements, said Naruto, seeing Itachi narrow his eyes in understanding. To make Sasuke activate his Sharingan eyes, said Itachi, seeing Naruto nod, though they didn't understand why the Sandaime would do that. We need to go if we're going to save him and the others on the team, said Naruto, with Itachi nodding. No, you're not. I will not have my son ordered around by the likes of you, said Fugaku, with his Sharingan eyes active, and moved to force the Jinchuriki out of his home. Had Itachi not knocked the clan head through the wall and sent Fugaku flying out of his own home. Stay down, father. You will only embarrass yourself further, said Itachi, seeing as how father was glaring at him. You will pay for this insult, Itachi. You and that Jinchuriki are not welcome in this house so long as I'm the Uchiha clan head, said Fugaku, seeing Itachi looking like he didn't care, and the same went for Naruto too. We all pay sooner or later. The question is always when? Said Naruto to himself, and Itachi with the Uchiha agreeing with him. We might need a medic for this mission, said Itachi, knowing having one on this would increase the chance of saving the lives on Team 7 and their sensei. Shizune won't mind if we recruit her for this. Tsunade's been hounding her ever since we returned to Konoha, said Naruto, knowing Shizune had been avoiding Tsunade like the Sannin was a walking epidemic. With that in mind, the 2 went to recruit Shizune, and the 3 soon left after Naruto explained the situation to her about the abandoned Jinan team. Thanks for listening, goodbye.